sure you're doing your smoothies and your push-ups every day. You feel what I'm saying? And taking time out for yourself so that way you don't get too stressed out with this reparations because this shit is real. So being up here in Newark, New Jersey, let me run back again the reparations march we had up here in the bricks. So again, I saw Cory Booker, I saw Mayor Ras Baraka, aka Coon Baraka now because you turned your back on me. I also saw Councilman Payne Jr., that's Donald Payne's son. So I spoke to Payne Jr. and spoke to Senator Booker. You know, they lent me their ear. You know what I mean? They heard me out and they understood, you know, hopefully they understood reparations is lineage based. But Ras, I tried to explain that to him too. Mayor Ras Baraka, he turned his back on me and rolled his eyes. Was what it was. But hey, you understand that reparations is lineage based too. But he's a Pan-African, and so you can't change that type of vote. But yeah, you back, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, guys, we want to discuss tonight some serious issues in the Black community dealing with mental health. We all talk about the poll and whatnot showing that a good number of Black people live in the Democratic Party. So those are going to be the two issues that we discuss tonight. Like I said, everybody that's in the space, go ahead and tweet out the space. Also, we want to discuss mainly in this mental health aspect. We also want to cover tonight. We want to talk about Black men in particular because I did not know some of the stats that I'm going to share with the space tonight about Black men and especially Black kids in school about the kind of mental health issues they're having. First article I just want to share with you guys. I'm just gonna paraphrase and just briefly skim over it. It's called "Fatherhood in 2022." Black men are battling demons you cannot possibly imagine. This was published by Afro Newspaper, curated on Newstoter.com. If you guys have not been to Newstoter.com, make sure you visit Newstoter.com, the ultimate curator of Black news today in America. Have you ever asked a man how he's doing? He says, "I'm all right." That was a question posed in a viral video popular on YouTube. Colin Nayar, a video producer and self-confessed responsible gun owner, narrated a video shown at the start of Keene University's 10th annual Union County Fatherhood Conference that divulged real answers from hundreds of Black men to the standard question, "How you doing?" "I'm here to tell you that man is not all right," he said. "That man is battling demons you can't possibly imagine. That man is struggling every day to find a reason to keep going. And the reason we say we're all right is that as a man, nobody really cares what you're going through," the video clip continued. The video represents the fact mental fitness among Black men is fleeting reality for some. The suicide rate for Black men is rising faster than the rate for any other ethnic group. It has risen even more sharply during the pandemic, according to the Journal of the American Medical Association. Suicide by Black men, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health, was 4 times greater than for African American women in 2018. Many mental health professionals agree that Black men's predisposition to chain themselves to societal and cultural ideology serves as a primary reason why Black fathers too often suffer in silence. Human biology professor Judy Cho of Stanford University shared that boys are socialized to mask their sweetness and emotional attachments. One central message is taught to boys that big boys don't cry. The 10th annual Union County Fatherhood Conference challenged men to connect the traditional male role of provider with providing and nurturing oneself. In a packed university auditorium, Tracy Spinks told the men gathered from New Jersey and states across the East Coast, "You can't be the best version of yourself if you're not good with yourself." Terry Ford, a conference participant and father of 2 girls from New Jersey, said he is an emotional wreck, not because his health has deteriorated, but because his ability to financially provide for his family declined as his health deteriorated. And "My father taught me from when I was a little boy that it was a man's responsibility to provide for his family. I don't feel like a man if I can't provide for my babies," said Ford. Indoctrinated to push their pain aside, men from their childhood woefully embrace values that discourage embracing truth, vulnerability, or seeking help, a theme echoed during the Fatherhood Conference. Boys chronologically age to become men. Men they become fathers, and fathers then suit up with their childhood wounds under them to their children, most times unknowingly. The spirits of being emotionally unwell and a black father lined up on opposing sides, waging these intense internal battles that resemble National Football League linemen in combat. For far too many fathers, emotional, mental, and physical health occupy no priority in their lives. The resounding resolve spoken by many present black fathers that they need to grind for their children, not to be concerned with their own emotional well-being. Emotionally drained yet well aware of his need to place his health above everything else, Ford was reluctant to think about his own needs, even in the workshop where men were challenged to engage in self-care. I'll do whatever I have to do to take care of my babies, he said. The determination to provide for their children was an overwhelming sentiment echo. Fathers felt they couldn't afford to be concerned about their own self-care as men. It's their responsibility to provide no matter what the circumstances. They wore the spirit to grind like badges of honor, naive to the reality that grinding is equivalent to wearing oneself out. The inability of black fathers to embrace their self-care speaks to why black men have the lowest life expectancy at 70 and live with the greatest prevalence of chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Their health, including their emotional wealth, isn't a priority even as Father's Day approaches. Smink, who spends the first hour each day praying and meditating and performing yoga daily, push for fathers to work on themselves by engaging in self-care practices, including regularly seeing a therapist. You must do internal work to heal yourself, he said. Black fathers often exert energy emotionally battling negative narratives and microaggressions about their presence or lack there in their children's lives. They usually live with some degree of defeatism. I live in some level of discomfort being 3 ways away, 3 hours away, shared Professor Leon Bronson. Bronson's emotional fatherly distress is rooted in fear. I fear the challenges he would face as a young black male growing up in a predominantly white town. Understanding the challenges of black fatherhood and being a black man, Matt Pressberry, founder of the Black Fathers Foundation, built a nonprofit to support, serve, and be a healing force for fathers in their fight and struggles to be engaged. I wish I could keep every black man from feeling like he's failing his children and just because he doesn't have the means to give them what they need and deserve. As Father Day approaches, some daddies will be surrounded by their children, laughing about times of old and relishing their parental ability. However, on the other side of that coin, a large congregation of black fathers will view today as no different from the other day. Father Day is indeed just another day to showcase that big boys don't cry. Like I said, this article was published by Afro Newspaper. It was curated on the Newstoter.com, and it hits at some very prevalent points that as men we were taught early in life that hey, crying doesn't solve anything. Men don't cry, men don't show their emotions like that. And it is to see that you have so many black men killing themselves and stuff like that is very disheartening as well. Growing up, I can remember you always had that stereotype, black people don't kill themselves. Like, that's not a black thing to commit suicide. And as we've got older and older, we've seen more and more black people taking their lives. People that we never even assumed, like Don Cornelius a few years ago. I know he's an entertainer, an older man, but Don Cornelius killed himself when he was well in his 70s and stuff like that. So we're seeing this thing just reach out and grip black people and black men as a whole. Like I say, we don't really, even with our friends, we really don't discuss. We may talk about some problems and what's going on, but we generally don't get to the root of things. We generally just don't go and just detail and tell somebody exactly what's wrong with you. Like that was a perfect illustration when somebody say, "Oh, how you doing?" Hey, I'm doing all right. I'm straight. I'm cool. You're not gonna really tell somebody, "Yeah, man, I feel like pure crap today. I just feel like giving up. I feel like I'm getting beaten on by the world." Like that's not how we're really made, and that's pretty much how we've been over here in this country. We've always had to put on that to act because we've been used to dealing with so much stuff. I mean, you're not supposed to be weak. You're not supposed to be emotional. You're not supposed to cry, even if you're in pain and you got broken bones. You're supposed to be able to suck that in, man. Like, what you doing up there? Yeah, I saw you up there crying when you got hurt the other day. Nah, I wasn't crying. Even as a little boy, you taught that. Nah, I wasn't crying. So it's just something that has been deeply embedded and rooted into the black man's psyche. I don't see it going away anytime soon, but it is good to have these discussions, and it's good to have men open up to a certain degree, or whatever, because what we're seeing now is that mental health is affecting everybody. It doesn't matter what race, what religion, what color, what creed you are. And like I say, men, the fact that we only live to be 70 years old, we live shorter lives than everybody else because we probably carry more burdens than anybody else inside of us, and we don't have that way of releasing it the way so many other people release it. So, DJ, you got anything you want to add so far on this? DJ, you there? I'm not sure if DJ, he may be to and from, back and forth or whatever, but yeah, we at this point, like I say, and then we also have some issues with the kids going on, and the pandemic has really, really played a big, a big, a big problem in not only the kids but adults as well. And like I said, we're going to also cover some of the issues that the children have been facing going on with the pandemic as well. So to me, I don't know. Like I say, I see in the article they were saying that seeing a therapist every day, even the idea of people like opening up to a complete stranger is so much against who we are as black men. To sit down on the sofa and tell a complete stranger, your most your deepest thoughts and what's going on in your life and something like that is just something how we're not even raised. We were raised with the aspect of, hey, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. You don't tell everybody what's going on. You don't tell everybody your business, what's going on in your life and this and that. So to open up to a complete stranger, even though that person may have a degree and that person may be able to help you, it's something that is totally new to us as a people. It's something that we haven't experienced. And I myself, I mean, I have to be real, I would have an issue just speaking to somebody that's a complete stranger, telling them, hey, your deepest and darkest fears and what scares you the most in life. And, exactly just, I mean, it's just something that I myself, like I say, that would take a little minute to actually get used to actually, overcome. And what we're seeing right now, we're seeing that they're saying that black men are killing themselves 4 times more often than black women. And like I said, growing up, you rarely ever. One thing I guess they didn't broadcast suicides like they do now, and I think for one reason they didn't broadcast them because they didn't want to have copycats. They tried not to tell the general public about people killing themselves all the time because they didn't want people going out there, you know, following up and committing suicide. I have been impacted by suicides in my life. I have lost family members to it, so I know it is something not to take lightly. It is something when you see somebody that you think somebody may be struggling, having a hard time. If you can reach out to that person, if you can help that person in any way, what shape and form, you need to go ahead and do that because you just never know. Like I say, I grew up in a time in the era where black people committing suicide was considered the unforgivable. It was considered not a black thing. It was considered something that was a white thing. If you committed suicide, you was going to hell. All that kind of stuff has been part of our culture, part of our upbringing, who we are. So now you kind of get away from people saying stuff like that. You don't hear people just, unless you have somebody that's like deeply into religion. But most people, they say if somebody commits suicide, well, that person had to be hurting, that person had to be in so much pain, this and that. And the fact that you have men up here and they can't you have men up here and they feel a sense of shame that they may be trying to do the best they can to raise their kids, but yet they're complete failures. Nothing can hurt you more as a man than that you're putting forth your best effort. You're going out there, you working, you busting your tail, this and that, but because you can't give your kids what you consider to be the American dream, which is a lot of materialistic things that really don't matter. Are you providing leadership to these kids? Are you providing a fatherly figure? Are you providing a roof for them, insurance, house? Are you putting clothes on their back? Are you feeding them? Those are the most crucial things that you can do in terms of raising your kids. Now, of course, you want to be able to leave wealth behind for your kids. And you want to be able to do other things for your kids, and that's where black people we need to make sure we have life insurance policies after we're gone. Those kids can inherit a few $100,000, $100,000 or something to give them a jump or give them a boost in life and whatnot. But we can't just put everything on materialistic things, and we can't continually beat ourselves up as men and thinking that, hey, even though I'm out here and I'm working 40 hours a week, I'm barely getting by. But I see my neighbor, I see somebody I know, they're making $150,000 a year. They're living like this, they're living like that. You can't walk in the shoes of other people. And if anybody's feeling beaten down and worn out by society, please go ahead and get you some help. Like I say, I have I have gone to school with people that have killed themselves. I have personally know people. I've lost people, close family members. It is no joke, and it is something that it's nothing like hearing something like that. Somebody you love or somebody you know that has taken their own life. I mean, it knocks the absolute wind out of you. DJ, are you still there? No, I said where DJ went to. But if there's anybody that wants to speak on it, if anybody know anybody that they feel, or have you at one time had just felt mentally drained from society, just felt, and not so much to the point that you're suicidal or anything like that, but just that you're so tired and this and that. Like if you take your kids to the doctor right now, there's a list of questions they ask your kids to about this kind of stuff. They ask them like, have you been feeling tired and lethargic? Have you been feeling this way and that way? Do you feel like this and that? So because of you seeing all of the impacts of the actual pandemic, they're starting to ask kids these type of questions and stuff like that. So it's definitely very scary right now, and we definitely have to pay attention to the signs that these children are going through. Just not the kids, but like I say, adults, any family members, any friends, any neighbors, anybody that we know that we suspect may be going through some issues because we're all mentally drained just living into this society, this capitalistic society, this racist society, this white supremacist society is going to do enough on our mental psyche as is. Brother Moko, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, you raising a lot of excellent points. Um, I know a lot of black men go through uh, different number of things, but one main thing Steve overlooked a lot as far as black men is rape. You know, not really taking that serious. And when you talk about mental health, I just posted in the jumbotron. Our diets are really just like like effed up. Women and men aren't even supposed to be consuming the same things. You know, and we it's kind of trained in this society. Trying to drill it into us to kind of make it like a like a fast, quick choice thing as far as what you put in your body. But we totally been our food being our medicine instead of being something that we just consume when we have what's called what we look at as a hunger pain, which is really addiction pain if you're going through a withdrawal pain from all of the drugs that they pump into these um, items that they call food. So I think a lot of us, it would be a good thing if we start paying attention to things we put in our body, and especially start paying attention to all the hormones and injections that they inject in your meat. Paying attention to the seafood. Uh, Navy has been dumping trash in the sea, Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans for a little bit of almost close to a century now. Um, so your fish, your shrimp, your crab, your salmon, all your fish that you consume, uh, yeah, they're eating and bottom feeding off of that trash. So this has a lot to do with our mental health because if we're eating the animals or the fish that has all these drugs and all of these foreign elements and trash and stuff like that. And I mean, from these Navy ships, we're getting, you got medical, uh, you got medicines like drugs like old Percocet, things like that. Fish are consuming these things. And by the time we get the fish, it's already dissolved and, all the junk is cleaned out of it. So we don't know what it consumed before we eat it. And so we just need to really pay attention to what we put in our bodies. And I just shared a few things, a few pieces of information, books. Medical Card Diet is one that's really good. You know, it has a lot of evidence in there about how these practices have
you made some very valid points that I guess it's true what they say, you are what you eat. And that's one thing I never really thought about it too. The type of food that we eat today with all of the hormones and all of the steroids and all the growth and this and that in there, and it's just the it's not just the meat and the milk and all the other stuff too. Just even simple things that you may snack on and stuff like that that's put on the shelf so it could have a longer shelf span and stuff like that. Who knows what's that doing to your mind state and this and that, and just the type of materials that we build houses with. At one time, we know they used to build houses and stuff with a lot of lead and whatnot. So you're definitely correct about that, Brother Moko. That's something that I really, like I said, I never really thought much about, but it's a reason why they say you are what you eat. So you eat crap, then you think like crap, you behave like crap, and you feel like crap. We don't eat the kind of foods that our grandparents ate when they, we went from being an agrarian type nation where a good deal of the country grew their own food and it was fresh and it was this and that, and they raised even livestock and animals that they slaughtered and whatnot. And now we have big farming places. We have like 3-4 major farming type farmers and stuff in this country that do all the farming and do all of this and do all of that. So in order to make that profit, they're going to rush things and put things out there. I mean, they don't care about our health and whatnot. And like you say, as black men, we're definitely living shorter lives than everybody else. So I want to thank DJ, and I want to thank Dr. Deborah for their contribution to the Cash App. Thank you very much for supporting Newstoter. I appreciate you guys. Dr. Deborah, go ahead and unmute your mic so we can hear what you got to say.
Yes, I'm so happy that you're holding this space. You've been doing some really, really great spaces, and kudos to you. And as often as I can support you, I will. But thank you, Brother Mako, for sharing those resources. And you hit on a great point when you were just speaking about how our food can also mess with our moods, right? I ate something that I shouldn't have eaten a little while ago, and I just felt like, boom, all of my energy was gone because I know that I should be eating it. But in addition to not eating as we've been eating, right, for so many years, and like you were saying, Brother Newstoter, that the foods that we're eating now, it could be the same types of food or exactly the same foods, but they are poisoning our foods with the additives and like you were saying, the dumpings, Brother Moko. But I wanted to say this. This is what I want to say. I'm so happy you are addressing mental health issues, but in particular, the struggles of the Black man. And I have been doing several spaces and shows over on Facebook about emotional trauma because we're all experiencing so much emotional trauma, and it's very much intergenerational because of the chattel slavery that our ancestors were forced into here. So that kind of trauma hasn't even been addressed. So many of us grew up in the church, are in the church, and we are told to pray away all that ails us, including, but also especially anything having to do with our mind. And so we never really talk about it. We don't have news outlets like yours that are saying, this is a space that's being created to start addressing these issues. And I thought it was so appropriate that you would open it up today after saying you had seen certain things here in social media, because I did too. Brother Marcel, he had posted this horrible video. If any of you follow Marcel, you probably saw this video of this little boy who was making it rain as this woman was twerking on him. And so on that post, I saw a brother respond and say that when he was 6, he was molested by an older woman. And then on my timeline somewhere else, this was not connected to that post, another brother was like, when I was 11, I was molested by an older woman, a family friend or something like that. I told my mother, she laughed it off. But when I told my dad, he wanted to go and, break faces or something. And so you have these two different responses, but you hear two Black men who are trying to hold it down in whatever their lives are and, trying to survive it. But we've never been given the space as a people but certainly as Black men. And for them to feel comfortable to reveal that in social media, I mean, to me, that means that we need to do much more work in this area. And I'm happy to see my brother Will Lethbridge here because he's also been doing it. And so you have brought forth a subject tonight that is near and dear to so many of us. And we've just been waiting to exhale. And you're providing that space tonight. So kudos to you. And brothers, I'm here as a sister to hear you, not necessarily give input, because I think sometimes we as women, we need to be quiet and just listen to you, just give you that space and not just leave you, but hear you so we can know how best to respond and help if you need it and if you want it, and but definitely to support. So thanks again for this space and just letting me say that much.
Oh, absolutely, no problem. That's what the space is here for. Like I say, and there's so many different aspects, and like I say, we have so many different men. Also, and you made a brought up a great point about those gentlemen there. But we have guys who haven't experienced what they have, but they're still mentally beat down. They're mentally beat down because of what they're making in terms of pay. They're barely getting around. They're barely making it. They're worried about the future of their kids and this and that. And a lot of these guys feel like they're failures as fathers and as men. And like I say, to feel it, to have that feeling that you can't make it as a man and a father because of what's in your pocket. That's something that society teaches us. Unfortunately, society tells us that unless you're making X amount of dollars or this and that, you basically don't matter. You're not important or whatever. No matter if you're going out there busting your hump every day to provide a roof and shelter and insurance and just the little things, the little necessities that you need in life. So like I say, I don't want any man to feel that way at all. Like, hey man, if you're going out there doing the best, I don't care if you what's your job title is. Kudos to you, and keep trying. Just keep plugging away. Don't give up, brother Mocha. I see you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Dr. Deborah, I want to add on to, what you're saying. I was a victim of that too. I was, molested by my first grade teacher, a white woman, and so that didn't come out. I actually said something about that on social media, and um, yet not even really realizing that. So, um, yeah, those things definitely play a big issue because when you're a boy and that happens to you, and you don't you voice it and it's not really taken seriously, um, and then you grow into an adult with certain issues that you definitely don't understand, but people around you don't understand because for one, it wasn't taken seriously, by the adults that you told it to. Yeah, that creates a type of mental degeneracy that would make a male individual feel like, well, wow, you know, I really don't have any friends. I mean, Dr. Clark said it best. Black man has no friends. And just about the Navy dumplings, I used to be in the Navy. So that's one reason why I got out of the Navy because once, I didn't even feel right doing that. And then turn right around and say I'm serving my country. That was just idiotic.
That's deep, brother. Like that is deep, man. I mean, um, much props to you. Like, and this brother Moku, he supports Newstoter. I mean, daily. Like he supports the content and whatnot. And like I say, he's definitely, you got not following, please go ahead and follow Brother Moko. He has his own apparel line. We're going to be promoting that with News Total. He has his t-shirt company and whatnot. He has a B1 apparel, and it is, and when I say it's B1, it is B1. It's all about Black first. So definitely go ahead and follow this brother. He's going to be he's going to be linking up with News Total, and hopefully we're going to get us some News Total B1 apparel and gear on here soon, so you guys maybe can go ahead and buy some or get it as a gift or whatever for your family members or whatever. But like I say, brother, definitely support you and we definitely hate to hear stuff like that. And man, I mean, And this space is here, like I said, this space, it was just meant to share about, like I say, about mental health issues that's facing Black people, especially Black men. I want to target Black men tonight. I'm also going to talk about Black kids and stuff, the mental health issues that they had, especially dealing with the pandemic that went on and whatnot. And like I say, man, if you know anybody that you suspect that may have mental health issues, do whatever you can to communicate with them and possibly get them to go get some help or whatever. We don't want to have any tragedies on our hand. Anything that we can prevent and we can try to stop and try to nip it in the bud, let's go ahead and do that as a family. Let's go ahead and look out for each other and do what we can do. DJ, I see you done got out the matrix. You got your hand up. What's up, man? What happened, Mike? I know you had dropped for a minute.
Hey, man, fighting the Smiths, as Neo did in the Matrix. You already know, fam. But I'm back up here. I took the red pill. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, all jokes aside, I'm sorry that happened to you, Brother Moku. I'm dealing with a family issue very similar, you know what I mean? Where, something happened to one of my little cousins from within the family. And the way my aunt and my great aunt handled it, I don't even know who to believe. You know what I'm saying? I want to believe my little cousin that had happened to, but I'm starting to think really is my aunt. She don't want to be around my aunt. So it's like she blamed another family member for what she's going through. So it's like I don't even know what to do at this point other than let God take the wheel, and that's what I've kind of been doing. So I don't know, man. You know what I mean? But I kind of want to still put pause on the other cousin. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to, chip some tooth up or something like that if that person didn't even really do anything, but just being accused of it. You see what I'm saying? But I don't know.
No doubt. Anybody else got anything to share before we go to the next article? Speaking about mental health affecting the kids and whatnot. Like I say, all you guys that's in the space, please go ahead and tweet out the space to your followers. That would be a big help. Go ahead and tweet out the link to your followers. If you guys have any questions, anything that you like to add on, please feel free. This is an open space. Anybody knows it's been a Newstoter space that we go ahead and we just let people express themselves and speak their minds. As long as you're being respectful to the space, there's never any issue. We pretty much let people go and speak and say what they want to say. Like I said, as long as they're showing just showing some respect to everyone that's in the space, we believe in that. We want everybody to have an open space to exactly tell how they feel and whatnot. Like I said, this is an issue that's getting more and more attention. You're starting to see mental health becoming, and mental health is something that really wasn't spoken about really at all, whether it was black, white. Now you see in the past 5-10 years that it's really something that's taken off. People are speaking about it and whatnot. So it's definitely an issue that's catching on across the nation and whatnot. And it's definitely something that's gripping the black community as well. And I'm gonna tell you this: if it's gripping the black community, that means it's gripping every community. There's nothing that's just specifically for us that hurts us that doesn't hurt anybody else. So something like this is gripping every community in America, not just us. But we are holding that space tonight because I felt this would be an interesting topic. We're going to also talk about, like I say, we're going to talk about mental health, but we're also going to talk about black folks leaving the Democratic Party as well. So I don't want y'all to think that we're not going to get to that issue as well, because that's definitely something that I would love to speak about, and I want to hear everybody share their opinion about what they feel about that as well. Brother Moko, I see you got your hand back.
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to ask Dr. Deborah. Dr. Deborah, how do you feel about serotonin and the black community, the FBA community, as far as taking that sort of, well, it's a natural substance. How do you feel about that?
First, let me say I'm sorry to hear about your experience. Also, I'm weird. I think I'm weird. Not that I'm super like a super saint type faith person. I'm not. I do believe there was a time when I was like, I drank the Kool-Aid about, oh, you could just pray it away, whatever you're bothered with. So I don't think in terms of substances. I try to be as healthy as possible. So what I ate, what I was telling you all that I ate before, it went against the natural process that my body has been healing itself from all of the chemicals and everything. So I stay away from that. However, That's just me. I'm one person out of millions, right? I think if you believe it will be helpful, I think, you can try it. I personally don't. I try to remove myself from situations. But everybody's not able to do that. We still have to function. So, I would not be hard nosed. I was like maybe 15, 20 years ago. I was like, no, no, no. But I think that we have to do what we can to help ourselves, as long as it's not harmful to ourselves or potentially harmful to others. Let me be very clear, everybody in the space. I am not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm just responding to my brother's question.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I was just asking because serotonin, for anyone that doesn't know, is a body, a chemical that your body naturally produces, but it kind of helps with your mood. And for anybody in the room that may be feeling depressed or uh, even stressed, um, serotonin is one of those things, a natural herb that actually, well, I use from time to time. Um, and I just found it strange that now, like in the last past maybe about 6 months, I haven't been seeing it on the shelves lately, like I have, been, like like it was before. Before maybe about a year ago, you could find it anywhere. Now it's really kind of being like a little hard to find, and I just find that strange. We talk mental health, so
No doubt, no doubt. I've never really heard much about it. I've heard people mention it, but I don't exactly know too much about it myself, so I can't really speak on it. Um, is there anybody that wants to add on before we go to the next aspect of mental health? This is dealing with kids and students in school and whatnot. If anybody speak on it, have an opinion on it. And like I say, with the spaces, guys, you can always come back to this. Like, even though we move on, that's one thing about these spaces that you can always come back to a topic that you found interesting. We don't say, well, we moved on and we don't want to talk about that. No, always go back. If that's something that you want to speak on, hell, we can go ahead and we can start that conversation right back up. I definitely don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I want to thank everybody that's in the space tonight so far. Go ahead. If you have not, please follow us on Twitter. If you already not following Twitter, also I will put in the YouTube channel up in the Jumbotron a little bit, and I will also be putting the link to the newsletter where you can subscribe to the Newstoter newsletter. So go ahead, guys, and make sure that you're following us all on Newstoter. And if you like, you can also contribute on Cash App to us. That's $ Newstoter, and you can also donate on PayPal and Venmo too. Those are both in the actual jumbotron as well. Our next, um, our next article about mental health was published by CNN, curated on Newstoter.com. Um, I'm sorry, it was actually published by the Atlanta Voice and curated on Newstoter.com. And the title of it is "Schools and Black Students' Mental Health. The Kids Aren't All Right." So I'm just like I said, I'm going to paraphrase this. I'm not going to read it all, but I'm just going to go ahead and paraphrase it real quick. It's no surprise that we're living through difficult times. After 2 years, we're still in a global pandemic, which has predominantly impacted people of color. In addition, book bans, attacks on critical race theory, and possible fights target everything from black youth sexuality to history to health, and we're seeing the effects. Prior to the pandemic in 2019, suicide was the second leading cause of death for black youth ages 15 to 24, according to the Office of Minority Health. The same report found black high school age girls were 60% more likely to attempt suicide than their white peers. And by June 2020, the CDC saw the rate of black respondents who reportedly having seriously considered suicide was significantly higher. For a variety of reasons, ongoing stigma, lack of insurance, most accessible black students often rely on mental health services offered at school. Outside of a mental health specific practice, black students were nearly 600 times as likely to get mental health in academic settings compared to other options, according to 2020 data from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. In fact, mental health services in schools have steadily gained popularity among students since 2009 before dropping slightly in 2020 when schools erupted, according to a SAMHSA report. As a result, the rate of students receiving mental health care through schools decreased by 14% in 2020 compared to 2019. So how are schools changing the way they address and prioritize mental health and specific needs of Black students since 2020? For school-age people, the majority of time is spent in school building about 8 hours per day, 10 months out the year to help address during academic hours. Schools are trying to focus on social emotional learning, self-awareness, self-control, and interpersonal skills. This includes teaching kids how to be in touch with their emotions and protect against adverse mental health conditions. But it's difficult. Though there's been more conversation, implementing its challenges, says Dr. Kizzy Albright, an associate professor of school psychology at the University of Texas, Austin. There was already a shortage of school-based mental health professionals before the pandemic, which has now increased as mental health issues, in addition, through schools clearly recognize the importance of mental health. They aren't always provided adequate sources. Unless there are more resources funded in the school systems, we're going to continue to see catch-up issues across the board, the doctor said, and most unfortunately, our Black students are going to continue to suffer the most. So you see right there about the economic impact that most of the students are actually getting this type of help at school. Like the school is the number one place where a lot of these Black students are actually getting the resources available to them. And when you had the pandemic hit, you had a significant amount of it decreased by 14%. It decreased in terms of the mental health care that they were receiving. So this is just crazy. It says Black high school age girls are 60% more likely to attempt suicide than their white peers. So we have a lot. We just look at the number of Black sisters, young Black girls committing suicide as compared to their white peers. That's pretty that's a horrific number that when we think about it. Like I said, I was just speaking about how at one time suicide was considered a big no-no in the Black community, but now that's not the case anymore. Sadly, that's not the case. And you have Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. They're coming up with the data that's backing this. So they said Black students were nearly 600 times as likely to get mental health in an academic setting compared to other options. So the question here lies is, if it wasn't if they weren't in an academic setting, how likely were they to get any kind of help at all? This comes back to when we speak about reparations and we speak about things that we want to do and the political spirit that we need for our people and stuff like that. But we also see that this has to be part of also a bigger type of agenda as well. We have to find ways to squeeze and put these type of things in there. And I know everybody says that, of course, reparations will take care of a lot of things and stuff. But while we're working on the reparations, this is something that we can work on right now, and we can make this type of thing get passed, where we can get more funding for mental health offices and evaluations for our people right now. I think your name is Lido. Larry, go ahead and speak. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Thank you for letting me speak. It's fine. I like this topic. Just to go back to what you were saying, it is the money, and I know that it is good to have some of these programs available, especially to the most needy, but it's the money. Whatever money that we're going to put into those programs, we need to put it in people's pockets first. I was listening to this talk by the scientists. They did like a 30-year study with Native American tribes. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically, the children that were suffering from mental disorders, ADHD, bipolar, whatever it would be, all that stuff disappeared by the time they were adults, because what they did was they set up a program where they would take money from the casinos and they would just inject it directly into the hands of people. Just give them the money. Then they began to spend the money on necessities and things that they need. But what they did was it lifted them out. What they said was anybody who was above poverty already, the changes are marginal, but for the kids who are already on the poverty line or below, and they were suffering from these mental diseases, it vanished by the time they were adults because they had money. So reparations for me, for that, I think is necessary because we're dealing with such broad issues that we're just taking the blame for the shit because it's so broad and people can't see it. They don't realize it's just money. We know it, but everybody's coming up with so many different reasons why we need this, why we need that. Just give us the fucking money. Also, the other side of that is the feminist movement. They are very destructive, and I was reading about something called moral relativism and cultural relativism, where a lot of conversations we can't even really have with those people because just the lens they're looking at it through, they immediately jump to condemnation. They don't understand what we're going through, so we need the money so that we can separate ourselves for a couple of generations because we don't need their fucking help. I'm tired of talking to these people. I just am. So give me my money, give us our protective status, give us the ability, if we want to create a nation so that we can protect ourselves from certain things. I was reading about the Amish and how they're not forced to take, vaccines and stuff like that. It's just a bunch of conservative white people who don't want to be a part of the society. That's what it is. So I feel like there are a lot of things that we need to do to separate from these people because I don't care at this point what their intentions are. I don't care if they believe in their own, the intentions of their own goodness and all that bullshit because they're liberal. They think that their ideology transcends their own mental, their own cognitive biases. They think this shit just because they're liberal that they're somehow absolved from racism. I'm tired of these people. So I think we need to separate from these people for a few generations with our money. And a lot of these mental disorders and things that we're dealing with, bipolar, ADHD, all these things vanish within maybe even within a decade or two. It'll probably be fast when we're able to raise up a new generation of people who don't have to deal with this bullshit. So I was listening to a guy named Tommy Curry. He wrote a book, A Man Not. It's on my list. I've listened to some of his interviews, and he's really going in on these feminists, man, and how they're broad. Basically, it's back in racism. That's all it is. This feminist shit is just back in racism. It's a backdoor to the shit they've been doing. So I have more to say, but I'm gonna land there. Thank you.
Okay, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like I said, but would you agree on this part here that while you do the fight for reparations and everything, that there's still an issue that we could go ahead and and fight on right now, that we can go ahead and start trying to get extra funding, get more money put in place so we can have more mental evaluations and have centers and offices and things like that right now in the Black community. Like I say, I definitely agree that we should definitely with reparations, that should definitely be part of the agenda as well too. But I still think right now that we should go ahead and still try to fight for this as well right now. So go ahead and Brother Mocha, go ahead and unmute your mic.
So far, you just hitting on so many topics that were definitely valid. I definitely share some of the sentiments, but I want to add and say, well, our mental health, and especially when it comes to society and um, the reasons a person may, choose to do that. Um, those mental disorders that he had mentioned, wow, they stem back to the slave mills, definitely in the eastern shores of Virginia, where the mixing of the bloodlines took place, and that um, we got to remember these people just set free from most of these uh, plantations and migrated to Baltimore, or migrated to DC, um, and, and this is in our family. So we have a lot of um, mental torment that hasn't been treated. So my question to the room is, how would that look? Being that we live in a white supremacist that is not really geared to uh, treat our disorder. This system is designed to maintain the disorder, to maintain the confusion, the sexual confusion, and all. So, how, um, even before we get to reparations and getting the cash, what I'm saying? Say we got the cash. What's the next step to, correct that disorder? You know what I'm saying?
That's why I think you have to have the experts come in, people in that field and whatnot. We would have to, we as a people, we would need to meet with them and see what we could do or whatever. But I myself, when it comes to somebody in their expertise, I don't challenge that. So anybody that would be in the mental health field, any of the doctors, psychologists, any of those people like that, we would need to go ahead and meet with them and say, well, what are you guys, and these guys, they need to be black, what do you guys you think? What do you think that we need to do? How do we go about trying to reach the young generation, reach the middle age, reach the older people? What can we do to assist you? What can we do to go ahead and make sure that we're not going to have millions or tens of thousands of our people walking around here with just serious, debilitating issues right now that's just eating them alive? So, how can we assist you? How can we? First and foremost, like you say, we need to get that funding right too. And like I say, of course, we want to do that for reparations and whatnot, but we don't really want to wait for reparations. I mean, I want to go ahead and get stuff done now. Like, how can we go ahead and further that agenda? How can we get black people that's supposedly representing us in Congress right now? How can we get them to focus and to push this agenda and to let people know that, hey, man, based off of the stats that we're reading here, black students were nearly 600 times as likely to get mental health in academic settings. So, how can we get black people to get help when they're not black students, when they're not in academic settings? How can we get them to get help outside of school? You know, how can we put this in their community where they live at? How can we get their parents involved, and how can we get their family involved, and how can we have more structure and more buildings and whatever's needed to go ahead and do this thing? Like, we just, like I said, it's something that we don't need to wait on, and we just can't wait at this point in time because we see that it's already really hurting a new generation of black people. We just spoke about black men and the heavy burdens that they carry. So now we see it's going. You got the black man that's suffering his mental issues. You got the black woman, the mother suffering her mental issues. And now the damn kids is out here, man, and they're having suicidal thoughts. They're committing suicide. Black high school girls were 60 times more likely to attempt suicide than their white peers. I mean, if that doesn't motivate the people in Congress, then it's up to us to start voting these people out of Congress, man. Because that's one thing we hear people talk about: mental health, mental health, mental health, mental health. And we hear even with the Democrats, but what are you doing to help mental health in these communities? What kind of funding are you giving them? You know, what's really in it besides more than just talk? DJ, you got your hand up. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah, what's going on? Hey, if you get a chance to try to drop that my kite production space, I think that thing's just frozen in time. But as far as what we could start doing, to reiterate what Brother Moku said, you already know why I spoke, Moku. We need to take this information that we're displaying here right now and yield it down into the streets. Everybody, is what you call it. The majority of the folks here that are doing the work, Newstoter, me, you, Dr. Deborah, and many others. I see Brother Arthur Ward down there. My sister Aunt La right here. You know what I mean? And I see B Sweet. That's the Jersey team right there. So at the end of the day, we need to take this information of what we're doing and bring it to our peoples. So how do we do that? Very simple. You can start screen recording these spaces, put it on tape. See that? Very simple. If it's a flyer or some type of information you saw online, screenshot it, make copies of it while you're in the office. Use the office material. It ain't even got to come out your pocket because most of y'all work in office space. So you could use, sneak real quick. Hey, let me go press up some of these reparations flyers real quick and just go leave them in the lunchroom. Ain't even got to put your name on it. Let me go leave you some of these at the club. Let me go leave some of these at the bodega. Let me leave some of these at the grocery store. Tell my people about reparations. That's my only job. So I'm not, like you said, Todd, I'm not the expert. That's up to them to decide, and it ain't me for me here to argue with them. Only thing I could do is promote it. Feel me?
It's no doubt it's up to them to decide, but it's up to us to go ahead and start holding them accountable and getting this money. And while they're giving money all over the world and every other place on earth, you go ahead and you spend some of that money in some of these neighborhoods that's in desperate need, that's hurting, that's begging, that's pleading. Because the thing about it is, the ones we see here with these mental health issues are going to be the ones living on the street eating out of damn trash cans if we don't do something about this. They're going to be the ones in and out the jail system and mass incarceration. They're going to be the ones in the morgue dead. So it's up to us to go ahead and push this agenda. We can't just sit up here and let these politicians continually get a free ride while our people are suffering. It does no good for us as a people. It hurts us. It's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt the entire race. It's going to hurt this country eventually. It hasn't hurt this country enough because it's not directly impacting white people the way it is us, even though I know it is impacting them. But they have all kind of facilities and treatments and centers and stuff that they can go ahead and they can put their people in. And I'm saying we need all kind of facilities and centers and treatments and this and that we can put our people in and let them get the treatment that they need, let them get the help and everything else they can to get on their feet and be productive citizens, productive parents, children, or whatever to the people and their families in this community. So it's up to us to start holding some of these people responsible, man, and pulling their card and making them step up. Brother Mocha, go ahead and unmute your mic.
And brother DJ made a really, really awesome point. He's right. We were talking about this a few nights ago, but what he's actually saying is, make our news media underground as well. Make it ours. You know what I'm saying? By recording these spaces, putting them on disc, and putting them in the barber shops and in the salons. You know what I'm saying? That's changing the narrative grassroots. And not really changing the narrative, but changing the narrative from the aspect of us not making our plan or putting our plan on this white platform. You know what I'm saying? Some things they don't need to hear. It don't need to be monitorized. You know what I mean? It need to be in those shots. And this is citywide. You know what I'm saying? Statewide. You know what I'm saying? You got to get codified doing that. Doing it in Bmore, doing it in Jersey, doing it in Florida, doing it in Texas. And just keeping it. Making it more reinforced like that because we live in amongst the enemy that is practicing these injustices on us and our children, most of all. So the way that we move has to be strategic. We can no longer be lazy with the way we move in our land.
No doubt, no doubt. DJ, you got your hand up?
Yeah, so just to appreciate that, Brother Moku. So just to piggyback off again with what the brother just said. So basically what I do is I have 30 years of media duplication technology. And I'm sitting right here in the studio talking to y'all right next to that exact equipment that we could use to get our calls to our people. So to run back the reparations march that we had up in Jersey on Friday the 17th, when I got down there, it ain't nothing but a bunch of Latinos down here, a bunch of white folks. And not to say we don't need no allies, but unfortunately in our reparations bill here in New Jersey, A938 New Jersey. Look that up real quick, y'all, on your Google. A938 New Jersey. Whoever wrote these bills, these particular politicians, they have included brown and Latinos. So that's a problem right there. So when I get down to the march on Friday, and I know a lot of folks that's down there marching with their Pan-African colors on. Hey, yo, fam, you're not an African. You're an American, in my opinion. You can say you have heritage by way of Africa. Your ancestors came over here or whatever. Yeah, that's cool. Or, you was a descendant of slaves. You know what I mean? That's great, too. But take them Pan-African colors off, because otherwise, in my opinion, you're an immigrant. You know what I mean? So when you try to explain this to our people, like the same person, Mayor Barack Baraka, you're going to turn your back on me when I say, hey, look, reparations should be lineage based. When I get to Donald Payne Jr., who's a councilman, a legislator out here, hey, sir, reparations should be lineage based. We need cash payments now. All I hear from him is, well, we need to pass H.R. 40. H.R. 40 is just a study, sir. That has nothing to do with the exact same money Biden is giving away to every other Joe Schmo, except for the same black folks that voted his ass in office. And this also goes to, you can't get mad at Marcel, and you can't get mad at the constituents that did or did not vote or come out to vote. We just don't got the information on the ground. So when you think about Marcel's district, these are old dirt back roads where you need car, gas, team effort to go get the word out. You see what I'm saying? So what if we could just shrink the information and just mail it to somebody? You see what I'm saying? And put it on a monthly basis where they're getting these newsletters about reparations all throughout the country, not just on a federal level, which I also like to know, what does that look like, since, majority of us ain't messing with the ADOS rhetoric. Maybe we kind of just doing our own thing. So we got our own individual state issues, along with our federal claim or whatever. So these are issues that all need to be addressed. But it's only us 100,000 up here on Twitter every day talking about the same thing. There's 40 million of us. How are they getting this information when majority of the news media is white public news media? They're not going to display anything about reparations. They're just not. And then when we say about the politicians, they don't care about us. Even if you get one now, you put another one in, they go eventually turn into a bootleg. We just need to bring, go take up some landmass somewhere and just be around each other and have our own political process popping. That's what I see for now. So again, my main rhetoric, I do consider myself a reparationist, but I'm still a student of the game. I don't know everything. So I'm learning as well as the rest of us. All these years later. So at the end of the day, my only position is to stay in my lane and take this information and take my skill set, what I've been doing for 30 years, and just yield it down to the street. I yield it.
No doubt. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go to the next topic. Like I say, you guys can always come back to the mental health. Just because we're moving on doesn't mean that you can't go back. So we want to address the actual decrease that we're seeing with black voters in the Democratic Party. And CNN published an article, and it was titled, "It's not just Latinos and younger voters. Democrats are slipping among black voters too." Before I go ahead and go ahead and read the article, you guys go ahead and please tweet out the space if you can. If you have not already, please go ahead and tweet out the space. Make sure you're following Newstoter also here on Twitter. And it's titled, like I say, "It's not just Latinos and younger voters. Democrats are slipping among black voters too." And I say, that seems like that should finally already been happening, but black voters form the core of the Democratic Party base. They cast ballots for Democrats in greater proportions than pretty much any other demographic group. Without the massive backing of black voters, the last three Democratic nominees, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama, would not have made it to the general election. Yet, recent polling suggests the advantage Democrats had with black voters may be slipping, at least a little bit. This follows the 2020 election in which Biden won black voters by less than 80 points, the weakest margin for a Democratic presidential nominee since 1996, if your baseline is a network exit polls. A few weeks ago, Gallup released results comparing Biden's approval rating since October with first 6 months of his administration. Much attention has been paid to his 20-plus point drop with young adults and Hispanics. Far less was noted that Biden's approval rating among black adults stood at a mere 67%. That was down 20 points from 87% at the beginning of his presidency, which was fairly in line with the percentage of black voters who backed him in 2020. To put it in context, Obama's approval rating with black adults never dropped below 75% in any individual Gallup poll, averaged across time. It almost always stays safely above 80%. Perhaps it was the fact that Biden's approval rating with black adults remains high when compared with other groups. That 20-point decline didn't get much notice. Regardless, the Gallup poll is hardly alone. Our most recent CNN SSRS poll on the subject found Biden's approval rating with black adults was 69%. It stood at 74% with black voters. Another recent poll put Biden approval rating with black adults at 64%. A Pew Research Center poll last month had him at 72% among black voters. All these polls show Biden losing a disproportionate amount of support from black adults and voters. Of course, a president losing support with a group doesn't necessarily translate to changes in the electoral preferences. Biden may be down with the voters, but as I noted, the midterm preferences should not be drastically different from how they voted in 2020, even considering the current national environment for Democrats. An examination of the generic congressional ballot indicates, though, that black voters at this point seem far less likely to vote Democrat than you might expect given their voting history. Take a look at an average of polls from CNN, Fox, and Pew over the last few months. Democrats had a 62-point lead among black voters, 73% to 11%. That seemed large, but it's small from a historical standpoint. The 2020 network exit polls had Democrats winning the national House vote among black voters by 75 points. That was 87% to 12%. The data firm Catalyst calculated that Democrats won by 79 points, 89% to 10%. Averaged together, black voters went Democratic by 77-point margin in the 2020 House vote. What current polls indicate is a 15% decline from that margin among black voters. For comparison, among Hispanic voters, Democrats are down 5 points from their 2020 House margin. You have to go all the way back to 1990 to find any year, at least according to the exit polls, in which Democrats won the national House vote among black voters by as little as their lead in the current polls. When ideology aligns with voting patterns, while Democrats are doing worse among black voters compared with 2020, Republicans aren't doing better. Things can change as we get closer to November, and Democrats can gain back some of their ground they've lost. But there's plenty of room for Democrats to fall from their 2020 baseline given the trend of the last two presidential elections. Unlike in most other demographic groups, black voters who identify as conservative have historically been quite Democratic. Hillary Clinton won 58 points in 2016, for example. In 2004, a good year for Republicans, Democrat John Kerry won conservative black voters by 48 points. Ideology, however, has become far more aligned with voting patterns in recent years. Black voters seem to follow this trend in 2020. Biden won black conservatives by 20 points, a 38-point drop from Clinton's. This came even as Biden picked up a little ground relative to Clinton among black liberals and moderates. House Democrat candidates also carried black conservatives by 20 points. There's just no recent historical analogy for what happened with conservative black voters in 2020. It really broke the mold. If Republicans chip away Democrat support with black conservatives, it still won't change the fact that black voters overall remain a very democratic group. Elections, however, aren't won by and lost by winning groups of voters. Margins are what matter. If we continue to see some black conservatives like we did in 2020, life will get easier for the GOP. Republicans aren't going to need as wide victory margins among other groups to win elections. So it seems like we're starting to have a little bit of a break, a little bit of chipping this and that. What's going to be interesting to see is how all of these midterm elections play out with black Democrats. Are we going to have a bigger swing? Because we know generally in midterms, black people don't come out like they do in the presidential elections. But we're starting to see a little bit of disenfranchisement with a lot of the actual Democratic voters. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how much longer Democrats are going to be able to hold the 90%, but not because they normally get 90% of the votes, pretty much from the black population, and we have been the most loyal voting bloc in the history of this country. You can't think of another voting bloc, another group that has voted at a close to 90% clip for over 50-year period the way we have for Democrats. So I don't know. I don't tell anybody to vote Republican, but I do tell them to, I tell them to do what they want to do pretty much. I'm not voting Republican, but then I'm not voting Democrat either. So I vote based on the candidate. I was in South Carolina, I would have voted for Marcel. But like I say, I'm through with the days of just voting for a party. It has to be what that candidate offers and what tangibles and resources are in line for my community. Brother Moko, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Well, what I do see is by us making this withdrawal, and not really supporting Democrats, not supporting Republicans at all. The influx of the tangibles that they're giving to these Ukrainians and quote unquote illegal aliens is it's almost like we can see what they're doing because they're trying to replace our our vote or non-vote rather, and it looks like they're having a real hard particular time with that because it don't really look like no Ukrainians are really interested in what's going on here. They're just interested in getting the tangibles and doing what they do.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and it's crazy too. Also, and as much as they push for the Hispanic, but one thing I give these other groups credit because we're the only group who just continues to vote just one way. Like we don't, and I'm not telling anybody to go and vote for Republican or anything, but we're the only group who are completely loyal, like blindly loyal to one party, and that's what the Democrats like. There's no kind of leverage we can hold over their head because they know more than often than not we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna vote for them. Like it doesn't matter how they treat us or what they do to us. We're gonna come back in November during the presidential election. We're gonna cast our vote for a Democrat. I don't care who it is. It could be somebody we've never heard of in our life. Could have been a governor. Could have been a congressman. Could have been a senator. It could be somebody that the vast majority of black people never heard of. They are gonna vote for them as long as they got a D connected to their name, and that has not changed. That has not changed since 1964 or whatever. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on to all the family? You know, it's really sad because, like you said, it doesn't matter what they do. They can come out with the policy, with direct policies that hurt us, and you're still gonna have black folks that go out and vote for them. At what point are we gonna be like, you know what, enough is enough? And that's my problem. It's like we never got there, even though we have a documented history showing what 50 plus years of them just not doing stuff for us, or them, you know, making hate crime bills and attaching, you know, LGBT folks like Matthew Shepard and you know other folks. They do all this stuff at everybody else. They ain't got a problem with it. Just hand out money. But then when it comes to us, we still here stuck on stupid.
And Ray, here's the crazy thing about it: like all the other groups that they pander to and kiss they behind, they will tell Democrats to f off. Like, you'll never see 90% of Hispanics. I don't care whether it's Cubans, it's Mexicans, it's Puerto Ricans. You'll never see 90% of them vote for Democrats. Like no matter how many immigration policies they put in here, they may go ahead and they may smile and say, "Yeah, thank you for letting us get this country." But just after that very first election of them voting Democrat, oh, they gone. They gonna split. They gonna go Democrat. They gonna go Republican. They gonna go Independent. We're the only ones that you don't have to give a single thing to that's gonna sit up here and be low and then get upset when you mention it. Like, say to other black people about it. Oh, so you must be a Republican. Oh, you must want the Republicans to win. Oh, you must. So what the Republicans gonna do for black folks? I'm like, well, listen here. Black people don't vote overwhelmingly Republican. Black people vote overwhelmingly Democrat. Like, shouldn't you expect something from the people you put in office? Go ahead, Ray.
I was just gonna say people only respect people. I should say this when they have to work for it. When you have to earn their vote, they show you respect. But honestly, if I knew, I'm thinking, you know, like Democrats think, if I know I'm gonna get your vote anyway, why would I do anything?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, and almost 60 years of proof is in the pudding that shows you that hey, we don't have to try at all to get these people vote here. Like they that's one reason people say Hillary Clinton lost because she pretty much took the black vote for granted. She pretty much knew like, hey, I'm gonna win. I got the black vote in my pocket. I don't need about it. So let me go ahead and focus on these other groups. Black people always vote for us. Hell, black people voted for my husband 2 times. So you know they're gonna vote for me. They're gonna vote to make me the first female president in the history of this country. So I got black people vote just like Bill had them. I don't have to work that hard for them. I don't have to promise them anything. I don't have to give them anything. They're going to vote for me. So let me go ahead and let me go to the LGBT, or let me go to the Asians. Let me go to the Hispanics. Let me go to the moderate whites up in here in the in the Rust Belt, because I know most of them can't stand black people anyways. Let me just go ahead and reassure them that, hey, I'm going to come in here and I'm not going to give these Negroes nothing too much of any real tangible resource. We still going to go ahead and we still going to do this and do that for y'all. So let me go ahead. And she misled and she took that for granted. And surprisingly enough, you had enough black people that didn't vote Democrat that costed her that election. Ray, go ahead. I see you had your hand.
I see you got more people in line, so I just wanted to add this too. You want to know what our problem is as black folks? I believe we care way of symbolism, and it's just true. We care about the first woman, the first black woman, the first this, the first that. Who cares? What are they going to do? That is the main question that we need to be asking, and it's never really like when you ask people like, okay, so what are the policies? What are they going to do? Like you said, they said, well, you sound like a Republican. No, I'm asking common sense questions. I'll never forget. I think about a year and a half ago when they started giving out that money or whatever, and then they end up taking it back later. You had black people. We got money bag Joe trending all over social media, making it seem like this dude was just the best thing since sliced bread. It's honestly just like the simplest things that they do. We just gravitate towards it. Like Kamala the other day was, what is she? She said she had like some collard greens or something super like that.
Oh yeah.
Hillary Clinton was talking about she had hot sauce in her purse. I mean, just the littlest things that we just gravitate towards, and it's just so sickening.
And now, if she said something like she had a burrito or something like that, or she had a egg cream that she was gonna eat, or a bagel or something like that, everybody be up in the uproar. How dare her say this about our culture, this and that? But you can sit up here and you can say that to black people, and nobody cares, man. Like it's just ridiculous. Lido, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Okay, I guess I don't know if we lost connection with Lido. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring the brother Lido back up, but yeah, I agree with everything everybody's saying. When we say how do we solve our issues again, and I hear you 100% right. You know what I mean? I don't think these politicians care for any of us, at least not the black people. And with the whole situation surrounding Hillary Clinton, black men didn't want to vote for her. I only voted for her to hopefully try to keep Obama's legacy going, but we see that was a failed attempt or whatever the case be. The reason why jokers didn't vote for Hillary is because we understood her war crimes with brother Muammar Gaddafi. You know what I mean? He wanted to unionize the African bullion and make it into a currency. So Obama pretty much let Hillary go over there and do what she wanted to do, and got that brother up out of there because he wasn't bothering nobody. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Saddam Hussein. With Bush. He wasn't bothering nobody. You could say he was killing his own people or whatever the case be. But what are y'all white Americans have been doing to us black people over here? And we Americans. So what's the argument with that? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we got our own stuff. But the only way we're going to get that stuff is if we spread the word. Spread the gospel of reparations, like Brother Ari be saying. That got to be our religion from now on out, because ain't nothing else working, man. And just to give my plan on the voting title, to quote Sister Angela from the Reparations perspective, if you don't vote closed border candidates only, don't matter what side of the field they on, elephant or donkey, we gonna lose this nation, because we are already losing it, because Jim Crow Joe Jangles is just letting anybody walk freely and past the border guards. You know what I mean? And in their swamp right now. So if there's anybody that's black American in Texas, you might want to go sign up for Border Patrol. Real talk. And protect the border, because these folks is just going to keep allowing these people to come in. They're coming in with this fentanyl too. You already know America, the biggest drug dealer on the planet, so that shit ain't going to never stop. So at the end of the day, vote closed border candidates only. And like you said, I can't tell nobody to vote, but look into that. At least if none of these elephant or donkeys on us any tangibles, you know what I mean? Hey, we voting to close the border. If we could at least do that for our own mental sake and not have to deal with no other group of people, because when they come here again, they come into our community. They don't even go into the white community. And remember, Trump signed that law that there'll be no more no more type of fair housing or whatever, or no type of low income housing in like certain suburban neighborhoods. So these immigrants can't go up into Livingston, New Jersey. You know what I mean? They can't go into the Beverly Hills or whatever the case be of California. They can't afford it. So where are they coming when they come here? They dropping them off in the hood, man. Come on.
Great point, bro. I wanted to add on one thing you said about because I'm no Hillary Clinton fan, and I remember the whole thing that it was about that Gaddafi wanted to put the African continent on a gold currency, but I have to say this much here. I wouldn't clap just yet. I have to say this much. Gaddafi is a Muslim. Muslims was enslaving black people 1,000 years before the European ever came over there. Dr. John Henry Clark and so many other past greats tell us about that. Like what he was trying to do was go over there and make Africa into once again falling under the reign of the Muslim empire. Like so, I understand what he was talking about trying to get the gold currency and this and that. And yeah, we know they had them clipped over here. I mean, that's what they do. They go ahead. They put a dictator in office somewhere in one of these third war type countries, and when they get out of line, like Gaddafi and Noriega and the rest of them, they go ahead, they clip them, or they go ahead and they put them in jail or prison and what that. Gaddafi going to Africa and starting gold currency was only going to be a benefit to those brown skin, those first invaders over there in the continent. So it wouldn't have done it any good to me. And just my personal opinion, like that, that's just the way I see it. And like you say, I don't tell anybody how to vote or whatever. I think like this, I think there's no wrong in withholding the vote either. Like if you see that there's nobody on that ballot that has your best interest in heart, I don't think you should just go ahead and cast a vote blindly and hope that this person may go ahead and take up and take up your fight and your struggle and this and that. And getting back to like you said, like you're right, casting a vote for somebody, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, if they're gonna have open borders, is bad news for us because we did that space and we showed you that black unskilled workers, especially black men, suffer the most from immigration. So let's also be real here. We also had a space about the black baby boomers, and they were one of the biggest ones who went ahead and co-signed all of this stuff about just blindly voting Democrat and allowing these people just to come here and just take over and take over and take over and take over. So at this point in time, with the way that this country has just been ran with immigration and stuff like that, we at a point that I don't know how much we really can really slow it down, except by not just going ahead and contributing to the problem by casting our vote for a party that we know is looking to replace us. They want to replace us in terms of our vote. They want to replace us in terms of our ability to get a job here in the work market. They want to replace us, period. They built this country off our sweat and labor, and now they feel like, hey, now that y'all done built this country up and you done did so much for us, we have no more use for you. So that's why I think we may differ a little bit there, brother. Like, we still on point with each other, but Gaddafi, I ain't never had no love for no Gaddafi. I ain't never had no love for a lot of those Arabs that came over there and just went ahead. And to this day, they still enslaving people over there in that continent, and they still over there. Still, they've always had this utter hatred for the black race or whatever, unless they over here in the black neighborhood with their gas stations becoming millionaires off of the black. Brother Moku, I'll go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, Newstoter, I have to agree with you, brother. I think it would have been a kind of on steroids. I had the back that dollar by African gold. Not speaking against it, so to speak, when you think about um, the bigger picture, the war against white supremacy. But as you definitely looking to make that move for Muslims. And yeah, Muslims have always been invaders of Africa. I mean, since, the Berlin Conference and before. So, yeah, I have to agree with you guys. I have to agree with you on that. The bigger, I think the bigger picture as far as, I mean, and to add to what you were saying about Hillary Clinton, I definitely never voted for her. I voted for Obama once after I seen how he was just bombing more African countries than you can name. I was just like, oh man, I ain't mess with that cat. But even more, once I seen how he was just LGBT, spokesman, I'm just like, man, what's up with this guy? Is he really married to Michelle, or is Michelle the beard? So Obama and this whole political game they playing now, especially with Biden. I always call him the son of Strom Thurmond. And get down to Marcel. Um, what we demonstrated with how we supported Marcel, I think that's the way we should go forward. Um, this replacing our vote, you know, um, is falling apart right in front of their face. So I think if we just stand our ground, like y'all doing down in Florida with that gun law, stand your ground. I think if we politically stand our ground unapologetically, we'll get further.
No doubt, brother. DJ, go ahead. I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, so to reiterate again on Muammar Gaddafi, I think you should really go do a little bit more homework on him. And I understand that he was a Muslim, but he was also a Pan-Africanist. And he actually, if you check Libya, his country, prior to, Clinton going over there and bombing them, you feel what I'm saying? They had like some of the highest GDP over there. You feel what I'm saying? People didn't have to pay for no health care. Everybody had their little money. It was no real like homelessness, anything over there. You should really look into that, man. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Bro, like I said, I respect you, but on that one, we're gonna still have to agree to disagree. I don't trust any of those Arab Muslims that came over there on that continent. From the time they stepped foot on there, they brought nothing but hell and destruction. I know he was supposedly a Pan-African and all that other stuff, but history shows us time and time again, whether you're dealing with a Muslim or European, whenever they get a chance to stick that knife in your back, they don't hesitate. And Omar Gaddafi would have went ahead and he would have put those Arab Muslims over those black Muslims. Because don't forget, at one time, Arab Muslims and black Muslims worked side by side together. They were supposed to be brothers. You weren't supposed to enslave another Muslim or whatever. And as soon as these boys got their chance, they turned their back on their black brothers and started enslaving them. So no, I don't. Like I said, to me, it was Bush. They did whack him out. But like I say, when you're dealing with Europeans in power like that, and Obama was just a boy just to go ahead and push the order or whatever, because they wanted him clipped anyway. So who better to do it than the son of a Muslim himself? So they went ahead and used Hillary to go ahead and whack him out. But nah, I think that was the worst thing that would have happened. I think that he would have scared the bejesus out of white folks. That's for certain. To have an actual Arab with all of the resources in Africa again, but to me, it wouldn't have been no benefit whatsoever for those actual black people on that continent. It would have been a big benefit for the actual Arabs himself, but for the black people, I don't care if he was a Pan African. I don't give a damn if his dad was black. I don't care if he was 70% black, whatever. At the end of the day, his people were invaders, just like Alexander the Great, just like the colonizers, the Boers over there in South Africa. They are resource snatchers. They're enslavers. They've been against the black race from the time they stepped foot on there. They have never been a real friend outside of what went down maybe in Spain and stuff during those ages and stuff like that when they pretty much controlled Spain and France and those sections right there. As soon as they lost power, they went ahead and they started fighting against black people. They helped, like I said, they was enslaving black people 1,000 years before. He descends from that stock. I put no trust in Omar Gaddafi or none of the rest of them. Brother Mocha, unmute your mic.
I definitely feel you, Newstoter, and I feel DJ too. I mean, DJ, even if we were to, and then I think I'm coming. Well, speaking from my aspect, coming from even if I gave Omar Gaddafi, the non-FBA D1 stamp. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still, all in all for black people. Even if I gave him that, I'm more interested in what the people are going to do, because see, Gaddafi just one person. You know what I'm saying? His people going to do what they've been doing. So that's more who I'm concerned with. And I'm not necessarily saying, Gaddafi was, a throwaway, but what the evidence shows is what the evidence shows.
No doubt. How do you guys think it plays out? Oh, DJ, go ahead. You got your hand up.
Yeah, just to reiterate again, the conversation at hand. The reason why we did not vote for Hillary because a lot of brothers didn't like what they did to Libya. You feel what I'm saying? And if we consider that like an African nation, regardless if they're Muslim, Arabic, some of us over here that are Pan-Africanists, but we know we Black American, they might consider them family and take that as an insult. So it's like, hold up a minute, I'm not voting for this broad. You feel what I'm saying? And that's all it really was. But I think Gaddafi wasn't one of the not to say he was good or bad, he had his issues like any other leader, you know what I mean? Especially when you're in a third world country fighting against the first world like America or one of these white Arab ones. So that's one of the reasons why Black men specifically didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Also, when you think about Trump, well, Trump bought his bread. So hell yeah, I'm about my bread. But just to try to keep, like I said, I voted for Hillary just to try to keep the Democrat thing going with Obama. But once all the information came out, we just never got nothing from this man Obama. This fuck the DNC. Period. They corrupt. We as Black Americans, even though we vote 90% Black in the DNC, I think maybe we could hold on to it. But the only way that'll happen is if we go take over them spaces. You feel what I'm saying? You got to run for office. You got to run for council. You got to run for mayor. You got to run for governor. You got to run for sheriff. You got to run for the comptroller. You got to run for these things. Our people, but our people don't care. And for what Ray said, we love symbolism. We got a statue of George Floyd in front of City Hall in Newark. That nigga ain't from here. Excuse my French. But let's just be logical about that. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you put a Newark person in front of City Hall? You see what I'm saying? If you're going to do all that. You know what I mean? And that's what the problem is, what's going on here in Jersey, the indoctrination of this weird-ass woke culture against Black Americans, where it's like, we seeing our people getting killed on tape. Buffalo, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, whoever. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. Bless their families. But this is the argument, well, us Black folks in politics, we don't want to do the work, but we'll allow somebody else to do it and get mad when they screw us over. It's really that simple. So back to the Hillary thing, I did vote for it just to kind of keep the Obama thing going because she was the next Democrat up. But no other black folks didn't look at it that way. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't look at it that way. And then like I said, from an economic, just to give my point, from an economic standpoint, I understand why jokers wanted Robert Trump, why he got 10% of the Black vote. Majority of Black Americans are conservative people, and 80% of all businesses is small businesses. Majority of our Black American businesses are small businesses. So when you thinking about joking, starting a startup or got a business going, well, shit, Trump was the right dude to put that shit in place. You know what I'm saying? You could say he had a fail here and a fail there, but he come from money and understanding. You know what I mean? So and he employ our people, Trump. So it's like, well, that was a no-brainer right there for most of us. You know what I mean? Who are real deep conservatives. And when I say deep conservatives, I'm talking about like these brothers, like the Black conservative perspective on YouTube, jokers like Officer Brad, whatever his name is, I keep forgetting. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And then you got other jokers like Jesse Lee Peterson and all of them, who like straight up conservatives, yeah? You know what I mean? So you got to think about that too. It ain't just about the basics of the national thing, infrastructure, healthcare. Yeah, those things are great, but hey, I'm trying to get my money too. And that's how 10% of Black people were thinking, because that 10% voted for Trump. So when I say, or when you say, rather, Tyler, I don't see myself voting for nobody. Yeah, I understand on that. So if you can't make a decision, shit, you better at least vote on a candidate that's willing to close the border, because these immigrants ain't gonna stop coming in here. This is gonna be another rough-ass 2 years of Jim Crow Joe Jangles just letting these folks in. And another thing is, I don't understand either, right? Why ain't the GOP trying to actually advocate to us as well? So this goes back to the flip side of the coin. None of these folks care about us. They're trying to just really erase us. Does it even matter if we vote or not? Like some folks feel. I think it does. At least in the local election, you still got to vote for a governor, a senator. You know what I mean? Mayor, comptroller, sheriff again. Those things are important. Local laws, those are important. So again, if we're talking about not voting, I think that might be more of a disharm than just voting for blue no matter who. You know what I'm saying? I think that'll do us more of a disservice if we don't vote at all versus just voting no matter who. Real talk, you know what I mean? But I'm not saying go vote blue no matter who. Hell no, it's after Democrats. So if you don't have a Democratic reparationist on your local ballots or going for some type of president or whatever, then yeah, you ain't got to vote for them. So okay, let me do the next best thing. Vote to close the border, yo. Yeah, okay.
No doubt. Moses 7, I see you up in the space. Moses and Aunt Lie. Go ahead, Moses, unmute your mic.
Newstoter, thank you for the space. This is good. Hope everyone is happy Juneteenth.
What's good, Moses?
I think, yes. Black mental health and black folks living and dealing with mental health in a society that's heavily influenced by DNC liberal leftist agenda policies, so and such. It's a lot for foundational black Americans. But however, something I've been picking up since I've been listening to the dialogue is that black Americans are more than woke. We are aware. There's woke and there's being aware. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. Matter of fact, 2016? I fell back. I'm serious. I fell back and I said, yo, I'm going to watch this bitch just collapse. And I had fun watching it. And you know why she collapsed? She collapsed because foundational black Americans were beginning to be aware. It was more than the whole Benghazi thing with Gaddafi. Black Americans went back and pulled up the documents, the receipts. They remember that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton called foundational black American young men and women super predators when they were pushing to pass. This was back in 95, 96 when they were pushing to pass the
crime bill.
The prison business bill, profit prison, whatever you call it. Now private prison is a business. So that was started under Biden, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, you're talking about the prison pipeline.
Exactly. So black Americans pulled up that receipt, and then when they pulled up that receipt is sticky with other receipts. It's sticky with other receipts. Yeah, the whole thing with Gaddafi, that one was just shameful. But things that happened right here in this soil that affected foundational black Americans, that receipt is so long. It's sticky. It's gooey with other receipts. And we just kept finding more. This in the black grassroots is brewing at this time. It's brewing. The TBA is on. Tariq is on. The black grassroots is brewing. The constant is brewing. It's going through the lexicon. Henceforth, we are here now. It's like a big black rock that's really massive. It's going to cause destruction in 2024. Going forward, we are not voting emotionally. We are voting based on policies. As a young professional, I started working under the Obama administration. First time I voted was for Obama. And as I noticed within night and day, through my experience working as an executive assistant, IT manager, and now project manager, I noticed that, I just burped. I noticed that working under the Obama administration, I would not get a lot of pay. I did not get a lot of contracts, and I did not see a lot of foundational black Americans. I have to be specifically clear when I say that. Trump became president, I kid you guys not, within a day, and I did not even vote for this guy. I just wanted to see just the Democrats just crash. I did not even vote for this guy. By default, Trump's policies gave me the best contracts that, matter of fact, the contracts I got working under the Trump administration gave me the momentum to have this bravado stance when I'm interviewing or taking on a contract. Now it becomes like my business. I learned that because it was so robust within night and day. I started getting a lot of contracts. I felt confident to negotiate my pays, and I saw a lot of foundational Black Americans. And I saw this through my LinkedIn network. It's just savvy. I'm just connected with a lot of young Black Americans, software developers, project coordinators, project managers, executive assistants, you name it, business analysts, and they're either working for a company or freelancing, and everyone is 60K and up, 100K and up, and I'm part of that field. And I saw it grow in the Trump administration. Now, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I do know this. History has shown us the Republicans have shown to be more radical in doing things for Black people, just despite Dixiecrats who are Democrats now. So we can always use both to our benefit as we're gaining sophisticated, structured political power that we're just brewing up right now. We're doing great things, and going forward, we have to use the Marcel template. We need a lot of Marcels out there. It could be Newstoter, it could be someone else, it could be who knows. But we're doing great things. Newstoter with the media journalism, and it's going to take off. And what Yaya and Katie and other people and CD and it's happening. It's happening. It's in the lexicon. We have force. Do you see how amazing the Black grassroots is? We have forced the media to talk about reparations. They did not do that under the Obama administration. They definitely did not do it under Clinton, under Bush, under Reagan. No, they're doing it right now under a super bigoted administration. They're doing it right now. They're talking about reparations across the board. And you know the saying, as go California, so goes the nation. California has set the template for what reparations will be. And that's because of a Black grassroots. The momentum, the movement, the focus, the on-code. Look, I heard someone say Black Americans need to get their house in order. Look, my friend, Black Americans have the house in order. You know why? Because we G-checking everyone. Everyone is G-checked. Black Americans have notice on everyone, and everyone is at least getting that act right. Yeah, the funky bunch, they gonna keep doing what they doing. But it has been pushed into the lexicon, and they're talking about it, and they can't stop talking about it. It's the best topic in town because, you know, it's going to become an actuality. We can actually say confidently, many of us can say reparations will happen in our time. That confidence don't come with just being moved. That confidence don't come with ego. It comes with a collective, gravitational, galvanized force that's on code. What Marcel did, you know, he just really stepped in the election like at the last minute, and he got the nation. Yeah, campaigning correctly should have. He would have got a great deal of that rural area, but he got the nation. He made them work. Kamala came down to South Carolina talking about she had to leave with collard greens in her back. If you don't sit your dumb ass down, You know damn well you can't get on that plane. I don't care what plane it is with no collard green. You know, I travel the world. I can't travel with no collard green. Always saying the wrong thing. This is laughable because everything is documented. Oh, I was listening to Tupac and if you don't shut the hell up. You know what Stacey Abrams said on the, correct me if I'm wrong, the 85 South show? She said, politicians cannot do anything specifically for Black Americans because Black Americans are less than 12%. Well, there's, first of all, Black Americans are way more than 17%. We don't really want to get into that conversation. So if Black Americans are, as Stacey Abrams said, less than 12%, then why are things done specifically for LGBT, Asians, and other groups, white women, whatnot, collectively are still smaller of a population number compared to Black Americans? You know, and they might say, oh, because they have backings and money. No, because you know why? The boogeyman in the room is foundational Black American policies. We got them cornered. This is good. This is very good. I land.
Thank you, Moses. Appreciate that, man. And thank you for supporting the platform as always. Look forward to hearing your commentary. I'm glad that you're on. This brother always, he interacts with the content. He's a Newstoter follower. He supports the content. He supports the new Black media. Definitely somebody who I enjoy hearing from. And I'm glad that you was able to make it up in the space, brother, and say your and say your 2 cents in it. So always as always, man, stop by and drop some knowledge for us and for the family, and continue to support that movement that we got going on. Got my girl Aunt Live. She's up next. Aunt Live, go ahead and unmute your mic.
How you doing? How everybody doing today? Peace, power, and reparations. I have so many things to say. I'm trying to remain calm. Something to say. I thought I had my thing up for a minute, but I didn't. In regards to the mental health, I was a social worker for 7 years. I mean, I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm heated right now, so I'm trying to remain calm. The mental health piece is very important. Working in mental health and fighting for my nephew with his mental health issues, and the solution to that. Because somebody asked a question in regards to what can we do with dealing with. I forgot. If I get upset, I forget. But the solution is separation. We have to separate. And can't go to the people who we are trying to get away from and ask them, Master, can we please separate from y'all? We don't like how we getting treated, Master. So we need to go ahead and y'all, we need to just do it. We just need to be like Nike and just do it because they don't give a fuck. In regards to the Democrats and the Republicans, what people have to understand is the Republicans are the Confederates. The reason why they don't advocate for the black vote because they don't give a mess about us. So when we vote for them and they not even trying to they don't want us to vote. Honestly, they don't want the Negroes to vote for them because they don't care about the Negroes. The Negroes that do vote for them and do support them, what I learned about white supremacists are not going to hold white supremacists accountable for white supremacy. And if you are black and you are in certain arenas, law enforcement, a Republican, you have to support white supremacy. So those Republicans that we see, like Tim Scott or the Candace Owens, they have to be Republicans. So if you want to be a Republican, it's a good thing, but you just got to be the best coon you can be because that's all they want you for. They only want a black person, so they want the new blackness. They know they can't paint themselves black and go on TV no more, so they're going to pay this Negro or this new guy to do it for them, and they can use those talking points. So they can put the black person that they pay on Fox News, and that person can say something, and that's what they want. So we have to be very, very careful when we say the conservative being conservative, because you can have certain ideals and not be and not vote against your best interest just because that's the only thing out there, Democrats or Republicans. Because I consider myself a moderate. I don't believe in a lot of like this foolish stuff that the liberals believe in, but it's important to know. I know that if any Republican had a chance, I would be a man. I would be in there cooking and cleaning, and I wouldn't be a good slave. So they probably hang me if they didn't make me a slave, because I'm gonna let you know right now, I'm not a good one. And then in regards to a lot of this, with Hillary Clinton, a lot of what I believe is she did not win because this country is just as sexist as it is racist. And regardless of how you feel about any of the dumb stuff she did, because she did a lot of dumb stuff, a man could do, like Trump can grab him by the P word, have rape allegations. Bill Clinton can go ahead and get him some head in the office, but he one of the boys. But a woman, we are held to a different standard. Not that I'm taking up for them, because I'm not taking up for her at all, because I don't even like her. But this country is just as sexist as it is racist, and we can see it continually when you have a woman who has different political ideas and things like that, and it's her look or her this or her that. This country is just as sexist as it is racist, and I think we need to be very, very mindful of that. In regards to what Stacey Abrams said, Stacey Abrams was asked a simple question. The question was, why don't any of the politicians say what they're going to do for Black people? Her answer: the reason why politicians don't say what they're going to do for Black people, because Black people is 12 point whatever percent of the population. That is a factual statement. The fact that she was asked a question and she gave a factual statement on why politicians don't say anything now is, I don't understand why for the life of me people have an issue with that when that is actually a factual statement. So now you know why they'll say you can, and this is what pisses me off when they do say, you know what, I'm not going to say I'm going to do nothing for Black people, but okay, we're going to do criminal justice reform. Bitch, Black people ain't the only one that's criminals. Y'all do more crime than us. Or we're going to do the affordable housing. They come to those things because they don't want to address our issues. When she was giving us a jewel on how to hold those politicians accountable, we're asking those questions. Because when she said that is a factual statement, that's why politicians don't say that. She wasn't saying that that's why I, as a politician, she said she got in trouble for saying what she was specifically do for Black people. Because they don't want to hear you say X, Y, and Z about Black people. But what we have to understand is it's very, very important for us to realize what our enemy are. When we look at the history of things, we can say, we was in this situation when we had a Republican in office and we was able to do X, Y, and Z. But we have to realize it was the same reason why we going through the hell we're going through right now. Because 4 years ago or 6 years ago, we had a Republican in office. People look and say, under Bush, we did X, Y, and Z. Yeah, Bush messed up the country so bad, we got into a recession. These Republicans, the United States is a corporation. They act as a business. So of course they're going to be kind to other businesses because they're kind to themselves. They're not like certain people who just vote blindly. They don't go against their own interests. But because they are so for businesses, they go against the people. And we cannot be so blindly to forget that fact as a person, regardless if my business is okay, but under Trump or under these other people, if I'm struggling and if my people are struggling, then I'm not okay. Yeah, my business is making money, but my people are still struggling. So, like I say, the shirts on my website, this shit is bigger than Nino Brown. It's not Republicans, yes, they're going to be good for business. But we got to understand, just because you're good for business don't mean you're good for people. Black people really have to start doing for self. For example, we already know that they don't care about us. Wherever you live, we trying to do it in Jersey. Get together, whatever city it is, start buying the most affordable houses. Buy the next one. Buy the next one. Start doing schools for yourself. Start taking care of your kids. Because if you have the enemy educating your child, and then these people arguing, they're not going to teach your child this in school. Don't you understand that the schools get money based off of the enrollment? All people got to do is pull their kids out of school, then these schools won't be getting their money. Then we don't have to worry about what history because our kids are no longer in that school. Because again, we can complain about what they're doing, but it's a solution to a problem. They need us, we don't need them. We don't need them for a modeling thing. We don't. They need us. But we still go to the schools, and then we go to the school, we go to the board meeting and complain. They treat us like crap, but they still teaching our kids. Before you teach mine this wrong history, I'm going to teach my own. Take these kids out of these schools. Then they won't get the money. I'm going to give a shout out to the dude from the Baltimore. I love the accent. Dude, to you. So with that being said, if you watch The Wire, they would go around and get the kids because they had to be in school for the third day, so it was a part where they knew what to do. All right, the people coming, so go to the school. Solution to the problem: take our kids out these schools. Then we don't have to worry about all this. I mean, it's really solutions to problems out here. And we just start having to understand they don't need us, we need them. Because at the end of the day, as far as this next election is concerned, we should let them just go at it. And mine fold our arms and mind our motherfucking business and let them do what they do because they fighting against themselves. Like with this abortion stuff, and they was looking for the black women like, help us, no, help yourselves. These are the white people on the Supreme Court making this decision. You go tell your uncles and your daddies and your cousins, because this ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm a handle mine. Let them destroy themselves, but while they destroying themselves, we gotta start doing for us. Start if you okay, I don't have a job during the day. Okay, I'm a homeschool. Okay, I'm a homeschool these kids. Take their kids out these lessons. Okay, you learn this. You have this thing. Like I was gonna hire a DJ to teach my. Okay, now you have that. Okay, teach this, and we just really, literally have to start doing for self because they're not gonna do anything to help us. They could care less about us, and we got to understand that just because something is good for certain things, for businesses or for this, if it's not good for your people, it's not good. Because at the end of the day, what happens to one of us affects all of us. So if your business is doing good, but if George Floyd dying in the street, then you know what I mean, you're not doing good because you look just like him. I land my plane. I'm sorry, I get emotional.
Oh, no. I love when you come through and you say what you feel. I mean, this is a space here. This is what we're supposed to do. This is about discussion, and this is all it is. We just discussing. We just sharing information. We're sharing our opinions of one another. So no, please, I love Aunt Liza, one of my best followers, one of my most loyal followers. She always comes through. She always drops knowledge. She always is passionate about what she feels, and I love that. So please, we're not trying to change anything. You already know the news, so the space you come in and you can go ahead and you can say what you feel. Like I say, you've all been respectful to the space, and that's all it's about. Just being respectful, sharing your information, dropping knowledge. Hey, one thing we said before, everybody's not going to agree with everybody's opinion about everything. That's how it is. That's how, as black people, we need to learn that. We're not going to always get along. We're not going to always agree with what somebody says. There's nobody in this world I agree with 100%. I don't care who it is. There's going to be some disagreement. I might agree with what you say 99% of the time, but you best believe that 1% of the time we're going to have a disagreement. Does that mean we should not talk and be friends or be associates or whatever? No. It just means we have a difference of opinions. We're going to go on and we still going to find a way to go ahead and put the information out there. So please, I know like a lot of times you get ready, you go in and you like, well, I'm going to just stop because, nah, man, like, hey, say what you want to say. You already know how it is. They're like, we not going to mute you and we ain't going to stop you. Like, hey, you saying what you feel, and I don't have no problem with that whatsoever. You support this black-owned media platform that's growing and growing and growing and growing. There's people like you, DJ, Ray, Brother Moku, Black Majority, B Sweets, Black MacGyver, Shantae, a lot of the people that's in here, one culture, like you guys support, and support doesn't mean just even making a donation on Cash App. Support is you go ahead and like it, you comment, you retweet it, you go to Newstoter, you make a visit, you see an article that's worthwhile, you go visit, you might subscribe to the YouTube channel, you might subscribe to the newsletter. Hey, that's supporting content. That is supporting the platform. Rome wasn't built in a day. In America, we know it took how many hundreds of years of slave labor to build this empire up. So please, like I say, feel free. That's for anybody in here. Like I tell anybody in here that's listening, hey, if you want to grab the mic, go ahead and request to speak. Like I say, we ain't got to agree with 100% you say. We ain't got to agree with nothing you say. As long as you're not being disrespectful, you ain't trolling, you're more than entitled to go ahead and share your opinion or whatever. That's what spaces are for. That's what Newstoter. Most of the titles you see here are coming right off of the website. So we're trying to use the content, daily content, curated content, driven by Black people to see exactly the mindset of our people in our community, in our nation, in our state, in our city, or whatever. So please, like I say, I definitely appreciate everybody in here. For those who can, if you can donate $1 on Cash App, $Newstoter, that's appreciated. If you can't, it's still appreciated. Just support that content. Lama,
Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you all for the history lessons too, because when I was in high school, I ain't gonna lie, I graduated at the bottom of my class, even though I got my master's now. So I appreciate going and learning this stuff, because I used to always be mad about learning this history stuff. But a lot of these history lessons, and DJ got me watching a bunch of videos. So I'm watching them videos, getting it, because knowledge is power, and learning these things that I didn't know that I'm teaching my kids, because I don't want them to go blind. So I appreciate the history lessons in the conversations and the different ideas and the different opinions, and just thank you for that, because I really do appreciate the teaching.
Just make sure, sister, that when you get a chance, when you have a free moment and you have time, make sure you come into the Twitter spaces and continue to support us. Like I said, we love having you in here. We love you sharing your ideas and stuff. We love that feminine energy. Like I say, I agree with you on so many different things and stuff, like you said. And you're right, there is a sexism problem. Sexism, though, for black women was still, I would say, would be secondary behind racism, in my personal opinion. But that's just my opinion. I believe that when mainstream America sees you, they see you as black first, and they see you as a woman second. So I definitely believe that there is sexism in this country. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, there's no sexism in America, because it definitely is. I'm not going to sit here and say that didn't play a part with Hillary Clinton as well. Let's be for real. A lot of people couldn't stand Hillary Clinton from the time she was married with Bill Clinton, because they always thought she was a know-it-all and this and that. So I will say the one thing about the Stacey Abrams, and I'm going to kick it to you, Shepard, that Stacey Abrams, yeah, you were right. She was factually correct about the percentage of black people in this country, but at the same time, it's a bigger percentage of black people in this country than Asian people, and her party didn't have a problem signing a bill for them. It's a larger percentage of black people in this country than it is LGBTQI, whatever it is, and they don't have a problem giving them and the trans community rights and whatnot. So there's a larger percentage of black people here than it is of Afghans and Ukrainians and all of the other people, Native Americans, and yet they don't have a problem signing bills and passing all kind of legislation for them. So I will agree with you saying that she was factually right. But at the same time, the way she worded it, the way she said it, she was asked a question. There's no way in God's green earth, if they said that, she would not say, well, LGBTQ is only 2-3% of the population. We can't, she would not fix her mouth, because her handlers in the Democratic Party would know to fix her mouth and say nothing like that. She would not say that to Jewish people.
Can I answer the question?
Huh?
Can I please answer you? Can I please answer you?
Go ahead.
I get what you're saying 150%. I get it. But this is the thing about the reason why the Asians got the bill. The reasons why the Asians got the bill, the reason why the Jewish people got the bill, is because the United States is a business. They trade with China. They trade with all of these Asian Pacific companies. And when citizens come over here and they work over here in China, that's why it was so quick to do a bill for China. It was so quick to do a bill for other people. You got to understand these rainbow coalitions, and I call them Fruit Loops. Don't record that part. Take that out. But when they come over, they get mad. They vote. They're organized. Black people are so separated that because like now you have the people who are like the immigrants fighting the regular black people, and the heads want to get Jamaicans, and the guys, the FBA, and we want to fight and because we're so divided, and because they know that we are not protected. Because if they don't deal with China gonna deal with their ass. If they don't deal with the Chinese over here or the Koreans, because Biden is going to get on a plane, he's going to go over there, and he has countries to go to. The foundation of Black Americans, or American descendants of slaves, or freedmen, they know that we have nothing to lend to. So if they do something to piss us off, they know that they don't have nobody to answer. And that is the thing, and that is the key. In Africa, a lot of these Asian companies was out there, and the Jamaicans burnt down. Thank God they burnt down that hotel. Or in the African countries, they was telling them Chinamen, you got to go back to your country. There's no country. So that's why they feel like black people are not protected. The reason why, and I hate to get on the subject of my lawsuit, but the reason why black people in law enforcement, and you see it every day, and you see why they file discrimination complaints, and why they always discriminated against, and why black men getting thrown in the incarceration rate, and the innocent. Look at how many black people are innocent because we have nobody to protect us. If you don't even have an attorney that'll take your case, you fucked. There's no protection. And that's why I said get a church. Because once you get a church and you get organized, you have their power in numbers. There's power in organizations. And that's the only thing they care about. They care about the little rainbow coalition coming out. Oh, marching. Ooh, they did us right. They care about that stuff. Because they everywhere you look, they in Disney, they in this. I forbid, one of them might be on here. And when they get mad, they
just not to cut you off, sister, but the reason that they're everywhere is because, let's be for real, they're everywhere because they're white. The LGBTQ, the people that have the power in the organization are white. They put those people in those places like that. They're only 2-3% of the population. So white people, of course, go ahead and back them and give them power. Now, let's also look at, you're right, that they do look at China and they look at these other places and say, okay, well, you come from a place with a country or this and that, or you have this and we trade with you and this and that, but Ukraine is Ukraine is fighting Russia. I mean, what kind of real trading partners are the U.S. and Ukraine? But yet they're kicking trillions. They're going to be kicking trillions of dollars to them before it's all said and done. Now,
but they're white. But that's what I'm saying. But they're protected. We black people don't have any protection, and that's why I say when we're dealing with these things, we have to get organized. We have to show the numbers. Like saying, okay, we want reparations. You one person. They looking at you like, and that's why these other organizations have easily sold us out. That's something from the NAACP or the National Act. They have sold us out because they get money. You get this contract. It was one thing that they say Al Sharpton went to Colgate and was like, look, what are you doing for X, Y, and Z? So Colgate started giving them money so that he won't protest against them or how they treat black people. So some of these organizations have sold black people out. All we have to do is create an organization that don't sell each other out and really be down with it. Because like Marcel did with his reparation, he wasn't even in it for 12 months. Now reparations is a national idea. But what you need behind that is to organize. Because you have to think is, again, remember I said about the Monopoly Board, if you want to play the game, you got to play the game. And the game with the United States is organization and government and corporations. Once you become incorporated in your business, now everybody who supported him, because he had support all over the world, he had Tisha Arnold, Pam from Martin. Once you get all those people in the organization, and then this is your platform and this is what you're moving for, then furniture going to start moving. Why? Because it's not you on yourself on the corner doing X, Y, and Z. You got this whole organization behind you, and that's what that organization does. That organization is money. And when you're playing the game, you have to play their game by their rules. That's why I just say, I just want to go to an island and be by myself, buy our own town, and not even deal with them. But if you're going to play their game, you got to play by their rules. But I lay my plane for it. You got to play. You playing their game, so it's their rules. And then it's like you can't. If you're gonna go, either you're gonna go against the grain or you're gonna go with the grain. If you're gonna go with it, you got to follow the rules. This is what you do: the business, the numbers, the voting, and what people used to do. That's all the organizations that happened in the '60s. They went against the grain, and you have to do either or to be in it.
No doubt. Shepard, unmute your mic.
Oh, peace. Your aunt, you be dropping it though. I ain't gonna lie. Definitely be dropping it. I don't agree with everything you be saying, but I agree with 90% of your energy and what you be saying. So, your passion is, I feel it through the phone. Can I go again? Yes, sis. Go again. Get it off. Get it out. Yo, what up, man? Let's talk about something Art was saying first, and then I go into what I really came to talk. So it's a right? Like I'm like, who is motherfuckers in Nebraska? It turns out they're the Asians, and the reason of Nebraska is because it was a Nebraska congressman and a Nebraska senator voted for the Asian hate bill, and I'm like, well, why are these Republicans bending to the will of Asians? Well, it turns out
that this place in Nebraska has the largest population of Asians anywhere in the United States, the fastest growing, not the largest, the fastest growing. In a lot of places in the Midwest, the Asians have the fastest growing population. And then I looked into it a little bit deeper. I was like, well, why did they capitulate to the Asians? One of the Hawaiian senators and the powerful New York senator have tag teamed together, and they working together from coast to coast. And the New York senator is on the Appropriations Committee. She's the chair. The Appropriations Committee is what is comprised of maybe 20 senators who basically, a congressman who basically approve where the money go. So they're very powerful in the system. Why did the Asian COVID crime bill pass? Well, it passed because it had bipartisan support. And I think that's the part why I brought up Nebraska and Republicans in Nebraska doing what Asians tell them to do. Well, Asians represent a 67% Democrat vote and a 33% Republican vote. So their vote is diversified, and they're the fastest growing population, and they're in both parties. So when you are a political strategist and you look at who you're going to capitulate to and who's going to get a bipartisan vote, Asians are going to get a bipartisan vote. So they're going to get shit passed. Now, when you start comparing Asians got this and blacks didn't get that, it's not apples to apples. It's not a comparative study over how much of the population, because the population is represented by congressmen and senators. Like I just said about the Republican in Nebraska. He is voting to be reelected by Asians in Nebraska. He isn't necessarily voting for something black, because blacks don't determine if he will be reelected in Nebraska. So like the sister Aunt said, we don't have any power over Republicans. Now, that's just one like real simple example of how we're not diversified. Is it's smart to be in the Republican Party as African Americans at a high rate? Yes. The Asians at 30%, with black women and black men in the Republican Party, then we would get more things passed. If we control more Midwest cities, if we control more southern city legislatures, then yes, and Republicans feared that our vote would limit them from succeeding or being reelected, then they would vote in our interest. So it's always going to be smart, both parties, just like Asians, just like the Hispanics in Miami and in Florida, the Cuban community. They're partly in the Democrat community and partly in the Republican community. They get shit done. I was just in Miami, and Cuban communities are kept up very well. The municipality, the state, the city government does whatever they ask. A lot of Cuban communities are beautiful. They have statues to their heroes in their neighborhoods. And I was just walking through like, damn, this shit looks better than most black communities. I was in Miami, in Liberty City, in the Haitian community, and the Haitians had their statue to their hero, and the Haitians just got the Haitian community in Little Haiti just got this huge soccer field. The thing is beautiful, but they're working both sides of the aisle in immigrant cities. They're working the Republican and the Democrat side, and I afford to lose such a big percentage. If 30% of Haitians vote Republican, then the Democrats need to get them. So they're going to do things to get that 30% of the Haitian. It's not that they're working against our best interest. They're working in their best interest, which is not always a bad thing if you live in it. So, yes, black men and women should be diversified and in the Republican Party. That is a no-brainer. I worked for asshole Democrat for some retarded Republicans before. Like I worked with actually before my time, it was a problem with the soil in a housing park, which was getting black people sick. and nobody Democrat wanted to step up. It took a Republican to actually get a bill passed in the community so that black people wouldn't get poisoned by this soil in this housing community. Black kids was getting sick. And I've seen, and I worked with a Republican that built a fishing pier after a black dude got drowned. So there are ways to work with Republican out succumbing to that racist bullshit, but you got to know how to work them. Now, in my 15 years of working in and out of local and state politics, I found that people have a problem when, if you're black and you work with somebody Republican, you are almost ostracized from working with anybody Democrat. But if you're black and you work with Democrats, you can always go and work with Republicans. So it's a weird dichotomy. If you're trying to get something done for your community, you're gonna get, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I really don't have nothing to say about being a black conservative or being pro-Republican if you're black for those reasons, because there has to be a balance at this point. Now, the problem arises with white supremacy and being in those spaces with.
Like we might have lost it, brother.
Janky phone. Go ahead, Kodak.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I remember a few years ago, right, when I was voting for the first time, and I was receiving all this backlash from white liberals talking about, oh, this person's gonna get in office, blah blah blah. But I remember Hillary Clinton, she kept pandering to the black community, but we didn't have any tangibles to show for voting Democrat, 9 times out of 10. And like I know that's circulating and black people are realizing this, but it was crazy the way we were stuck in the twilight zone and black folks was being canceled for voting Republican. But like you said, there has to be some type of balance, because at the end of the day, if the Democrats know they got you by the hook or the crook, they're not gonna do shit for you. They're gonna look at what other folks doing and say, oh, we need to get their vote. You know what I'm saying? And it's really sad that, we realized that we were, I would say it like this. I was in a class, right? And I was like, I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton this election. Like, she was the same one that got most of our black men locked up when they could have had rehabilitation instead. You know what I'm saying? Calling them super predators. That sounds like it's going directly against the um the Black American population. To me, they don't have shit to do with immigration. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said, black folks here in America that stem from the soil, we got to have a different political agenda than immigrants. Like, yes, you're going to look at me sideways if I vote against your best interest and you being able to come here in the U.S. But at the same time, the black folks here in America, they getting locked up, at alarming rates. We still don't have shit to show in our neighborhood. We don't get institutions built for our people, even though they did most of the fucking work. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a given. You gotta look at that shit. That's why that term, that blackness, that shit ain't right. Because our fight gets diluted doing that. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sister. We appreciate you stopping in and saying that much. So feel free to drop through to the space anytime. Shepard, we know we had lost you. You want to go ahead and continue speaking?
Yeah, I just wrap it up though. Lose me at. You lost me talking about the community or working with. Lose me at.
I'm not exactly DJ. Where we lost him at?
Yeah. You was just freestyling, bro. But yeah, you was talking about like the Cuban community down in Miami, the Asian community, how they playing both sides of the aisle, Republican, Democrat. I definitely agree with you. But go ahead though.
All right. Yeah. So, I work fucked up Democrats and some good Republicans, man. We're gonna have to figure out some type of balance, like the Asian and the immigrant communities are doing ourselves. they're playing smart politics and working in their own interest. And a lot of times, see that as working against, and primarily because we're not on game. And the reason we're not on our game because these legacy organizations have taken over the game. Everybody else, it's just very difficult to even make progress as when have to either speak like a Republican and piss everybody off because of the white supremacy kind of points that get in there, or you speak like a Democrat and then you piss everybody off because we know that our communities are in bad shape after being Democrats for a long time, and a lot of theft has taken place by Democrats and legacy organizations. So you're in a trick bag. Democrats win and get 90% of the vote every year because of white supremacy and racism. That's why who in their right mind after seeing George Floyd get murdered by somebody with an American flag patch, a police officer, and then listens to the comments by white people calling George Floyd, white Republicans calling George Floyd an animal and a drug user and somebody who, even go back to Trayvon Martin, and that was around near an election primary. Who in their right as black is going to go on a news feed and see white Republicans speaking to Trayvon Martin like that? Now multiply that by 100 other police murders, and Democrats have an easy fucking speech for black people. Look, we're fucked up, but they're more fucked up. And there's no way you can actually beat that speech if you're just a regular person who's upset. Look at all the grift with Black Lives Matter, where none of that money really reached where it was supposed to go. Look how the Democrats use Black Lives Matter. But at the same time, Republicans give you no option to get in. Personally, I'm not for all the abortion. It's mostly black women. Margaret Sanger I'm from Brooklyn. She used Ocean Hill, Brooklyn as one of the first sites to sterilize black people. My community. I'm from Bed-Stuy. It's a 10-minute walk to Ocean Hill. Fucking everything that they've done to us. 2A, when the Panthers and other groups wanted guns, that's when the gun laws changed, right? I'm for 2A. I'm for black liberation. I'm for, look at being religious and spiritual. I believe in God. I don't believe in all this foolishness. I don't look at LGBT. I'm not a fan of LGBT. I don't want to, disappear, but I'm not a fan of that lifestyle and indoctrinating kids. I line up with Republicans, conservatives, like 4 out of 5 things. But at the same time, how could I possibly stand next to someone I think is a Klan member? So it's very difficult. So I'm gonna land my plane right here, where we got to figure out something better. The Republicans got to figure out something really better about messaging the black people, and actually figure out some concrete way that they can be involved in our communities, where we can use their expertise in business, their expertise in whatever they're good at, specifically as a party. And we need them to admit and come to grips with the racism of their party. And then more black people would look at them as a viable option. You almost have to, as a black man, forget you're a black man and turn into this other, I don't see color person in order to walk with them. And that's a strange pretzel twist to a lot of us. Lastly,
I'd like to push back on that.
Yeah, well, just give me a second. Lastly, I just want to touch on this division with Juneteenth and this American holiday patriotic kind of push about Juneteenth. We all know that Juneteenth's creator was looking at a way to show reverence to our struggle and our freedom and our patriotism to the United States. Anytime you see red, white, and blue, that's the United States. You see the star in Texas, you know that's a patriotic symbol. Whatever, got it. That's never in question. What will never be diminished, though, is that red, black, and green, the Black Liberation flag, is a companion flag, a companion ideology. It's not in contrast. It's not against any other ideology. It's not even fighting any other black ideology. The red, black, and green flag is not even Garveyism. It's just black liberation and a part of Americana. A lot of us have gotten brainwashed by this civil rights movement that has whitewashed the red, black, and green freedom fighters and black revolutionaries out of history and replaced them with the term civil rights. No, the people that were black revolutionaries in America, black Americans, the ones planting bombs, the ones shooting it out with the police, the ones in prison right now for 100 years or more, some of my family members, these are black Americans. These aren't Pan-Africanists that use the red, black, and green flag as a symbol of revolution. Let me give you a quick rundown. There was a song that only people who don't have flags are coons, meaning us. That's when the red, black, and green flag was created to go ahead and combat that song. That was a popular song that white people were singing about us. That's when it was created. And that was years ago to give us a symbol of resistance to white tyranny. Anytime you see red, black, and green, it don't mean Garvey. It don't mean Africa itself. It means in America, when you see it in America, it means we shoot back. It means we fight back. It means these are the motherfuckers that show up every single time with AKs and guns and do marches. They always wearing red, black, and green. They're not draped in American flag. This is the revolutionary wing that we try to keep alive, the fighting spirit in America. So it doesn't do anybody a service to keep attacking Pan-Africanism and attaching Pan-Africanism to only red, black, and green. When in American history, red, black, and green is the Panthers. It's fighting back the police. It's throwing Molotov cocktails at the police. This is the black liberation struggle in America. All of the soldiers who died, black soldiers, black American soldiers who died wearing the red, black, and green and revolutionary colors, you're disrespecting and dishonoring them. The Pan-African, it's got 10 different names. The Pan-African flag, the Black Liberation flag, the Black American flag. So the POW flag flies right next to the American flag to talk about, to display those that got lost in Vietnam. The Pan-African flag flies right next to every other flag, the Juneteenth flag, the newly created the newly displayed Black American flag from the 60s that didn't really get traction until recently. The Pan-African flag flies right next. It's a companion flag. We gotta stop trying to erase other parts of our history, replace them with what's new and what's popular, because that's why we lose so much of our history. Anybody who says something about red, black, and green, I understand black history and how those colors specifically were worn by the soldiers of our race, of our black American race, to fight back against police and fight back against oppression and to secure our communities. So we don't have to give up one to do the other. And you're not a Pan-Africanist if you are flying the red, black, and green. It's flown next to the American flag. It's flown on schools. It's flown on court buildings. It's flown in Harlem. It was a big flag.
Wait, hold on, Shepard. Where was the where is that flag flown next to in courthouses next to the American flag? Because I must have really missed that.
Yeah, it's during as I can show you several examples. I can show you several examples in cities that have flown. I posted a couple on my page. Cities have flown the Pan-African or the Black Revolution flag right underneath the American flag, usually for holidays. Because you got to imagine, the Juneteenth flag just got popular. It just started popping worldwide and in the United States. Like, this is the height of its popularity. The Black American flag with the Moorish with the African wreath and the Moorish sword, that just really got repopularized and over the last couple of years. So we got two really new popular flags, and it's the appearance that, now we can go ahead and shit on the red, black, and green Black Liberation flag. But you can't shit on a flag that's represented Black Americans for 100 years in favor of flags that just really started taking off in popularity. What I'm saying is not one over the other. They all could be a part of our culture, and they all are a part of our culture. And that's the disparity in thinking, that we have to be oppositional to one part of our culture to big up another. If we could just accept that we have different parts of Black America, then we will be in better shape as a people. I'm just going to land right there, because I know it's some pushback.
Appreciate that, man. I know when you come in here, you kind of do create that pushback. like I say, man, I don't even know about that flag or whatever, but anybody in the space who is not following Newstoter, please go ahead and follow the host. Also follow the co-host. If you guys have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, also you can subscribe to the newsletter. It's in the Jumbotron. There's quite a bit of stuff in the Jumbotron. Next time we try to keep it a little less stuff, but there's quite a bit of stuff in there. Go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter. And also you can support us on Cash App. It's $Newstoter. If you have $1 that you like to contribute to the New Black Media, that is $Newstoter. You can also contribute $1 if you like on PayPal. Our PayPal link is also in the actual Jumbotron, as well as a Venmo. If you like to contribute something on Venmo, it's also in the actual Cash. It's also in the Jumbotron. So our $Cash App. $Newstoter for the Cash App. The PayPal link is in there, as well as the Venmo. And our next two people, we're gonna go Ian. We're gonna go Koja. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name. I'm just calling you Code, and then we're gonna go live. So Ian, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Somebody got a hot mic. Hold on a minute. Hey, brother McCool, check your mic. I don't know, turn it off and on. Sometimes it's just a waveform. But whoever was supposed to speak, go ahead though.
It's Ian's go.
Yeah, it's Ian. So brother who just spoke, my only pushback was with regards to how we view the Democratic Party. When we talk about the Republican Party and how racist they are, me personally, I understand that if I'm standing next to Donald Trump or if I'm standing next to Biden, either which one I'm standing next to, I'm still standing next to a racist. If I'm standing next to McConnell, if I'm standing next to Hillary Clinton, I'm still standing next to a racist. I don't understand this illusion of inclusion, or this illusion of lack of racism within the Democratic Party. I don't understand where that comes from, or why we, but you make several great points with regards to how one party totally disregards us and the other sort of kind of pretends to cater to us, but they give us nothing. And the reason for that, as you well pointed out, we do not leverage ourselves. So we were closer to 50%, or 40, 60, whatever, just like every other ethnic group. We would have the leverage at that point. But we cannot expect logically a party that support to cater to any of our wishes when we're not there representing. That's like having two to get 1, 2, 3% of the black business. You can't expect that other store to stock all the items that black people want when black people aren't going to the store. It's foolish for us to expect the Republicans to cater to us when we don't go there. So to use them as leverage to get both people, pretty much think of it as think of your vote similar fashion as a free agent in sports. If you have more than one team bidding for you, one is going to try to outbid the other to give you, more for your work. Our vote is supposed to be something that is transactional. Somebody wants my vote. What are you willing to pay me for my vote? That should be our way of thinking. And they should be catering to us for our vote. And they should be outbidding one another. Look, we'll give you this. The other one will look, we'll give you that. And then we go with whoever is giving us the most policies and most, tangible for our vote. That's how we leverage ourselves. Right now, we get one party that says, well, you niggas can't go anywhere else because the other party ain't even checking you. And the other one is like, well, niggas, y'all don't even come here, so don't even bother. And that's where we are at this point. And we've done that to ourselves, and it's easily remedied. And to think that, you know, there's never been a time in this country where this country was not run by either a Republican or a Democrat. And I don't recall any time in history that black people had had a reprieve because so and so was elected in office. I don't recall every 4 years or every 8 years when a Democrat was elected in office that fewer black people were shot and killed, and fewer black people were put on unemployment. Fewer black people were, or more black people were allowed to get on a bus, or whatever the case may be. That doesn't happen. So this, I don't understand the fear some of us have. Is, hey, we can't let so and so get it over because it's really going to be. I'm like, when has it? When have we never had the foot on our neck? So this fear that we create in our heads, like, I don't understand that. I'm like, we have survived for hundreds of years under this racist regime. We can we can sacrifice to leverage our vote for a couple of years to regain our or to gain some level of power, and that's what we need to do. And I encourage everybody to check on YouTube under you look on YouTube Malcolm X Wolf and the Fox. It's like a 2 minute video, 5 minute video. He excellently explains the difference between a white conservative, and a white liberal. And there's pretty much no difference. He used the analogy of the wolf and fox. I'm gonna land. I'm gonna surmise about this. He said the white Republican is like the wolf. They're loud. They're coming. So because of that, the sheep are running away, to hide to get out of the way. The fox is like the white liberal. They're cunning. They're going to be quiet. They're going to come down to where all the sheep are. They're not going to jump on them right away and attack. Matter of fact, the fox is going to walk around with the sheep, and after a while, the sheep are going to be comfortable because they think, hey, that fox is cool. He's one of us. He's got hot sauce in his bag and wearing chucks and shit like that. So we'll go ahead and walk off with that fox into the woods by ourselves, and that's the one that's going to end up with the land chop. We see that historically when we slept on Clinton and 94 crime bill, authored by our current president, because we don't learn from history. And we're expecting something. We were actually at one point considering Michael Bloomberg, Mr. Stop and Frisk himself. And I'm sitting here scratching my head like, what, have we lost our fucking minds? I don't understand. He literally changed from Republican to Independent to Democrat, like majority of the other politicians. Hillary used to be a Republican. Trump used to be a Democrat. They switch parties all the time because it's like the WWE wrestling. They pretended they're fighting against each other in front of us in the ring. And they go behind that curtain. They're busy shaking hands and they're chilling. And we fall for the bullshit every time. Both parties are going to protect white supremacy. They don't give a damn about black people, but we have to leverage ourselves. They don't care about the Asians either, but the Asians leverage themselves, so they have to care. They don't care about other people either, but they have to. They have to care about the Latinos because they leverage their votes. We have to leverage our vote system. So thank you.
Problem. Appreciate you stopping by and speak. Koji, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right. Okay, so I have 3 points I want to touch on. One is Black folks need for validation. Two, the flag that Shepard was talking about. And three, toxic black. So, like I was saying, I think, once you see that Asians and Hispanics are okay with going over to the Republican side and leveraging their vote, that goes to show you, like, black people are behind. Because we got this constant need for fucking validation and other black folks to think we down. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been criticized and ostracized by, white folks. Again, when it comes to other black folks. And, like, Asians and Hispanics, they don't give a fuck. They like, I'm gonna vote for the Republican Party, and you got some shit to say about it. I don't give a fuck because I'm gonna get my tangibles at the end of the day for my community. You know what I'm saying? Black folks, we follow this. We need to. We want to be like media, and it's like you have to think analytically and critically. You know what I'm saying about these damn news articles that's being posted. Like what are they actually trying to do? And that made me want to touch on that shit about Chrisette Michelle, the way she was canceled. You know what I'm saying? That lady had to make money for her family. She knew that, performing for Trump was gonna get her a check. Of course, it was not the popular thing to do. Just like Hispanics running for the Republican Party right now, it is the thing to do. The shit seems weird. It seems ironic. But at the end of the day, like I said, they leveraging their vote. I honestly feel like when I think critically, Chrisette Michelle deserved a fucking apology about how everybody fucking like dragged her. Like that shit was wrong. Cause at the end of the day, yes, both of them motherfuckers are racist as a bitch. Won't shit different about Hillary, Biden, or Trump. They both implemented policies that fucked up our community. They didn't do anything when it came to rehabilitation. They wanted to lock their ass up and put them in the slum. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we need to think critically. And two, the flag. Like, I get what you're saying about the red, black, and green. Yes, it shows solidarity. But at the moment, all movements, they evolve. And right now, since we're focused on reparations, we're focused on reparations for American descendants of slaves, okay? That means we need to focus on the FBA flag. Yes, the Pan-African flag is important, yes, but everything evolves. Just like the fucking Hispanic community, they fucking evolve from Democrats to Republicans now because they know they have to leverage in order to get more resources in their community. I don't know. Y'all willing, please fight me back on this if I'm saying anything wrong. But that's what I think.
You're not saying nothing wrong. I don't know what the FBA flag is.
It's the Juneteenth flag. That's what I'm talking about. Like I get I'm trying to disrespect you. I'm just thinking critically here, and I know sometimes I come off a little harsh, and I don't mean to. It's just like when I'm thinking critically, and like I'm writing out my thoughts. It's like you have to let movements evolve. If Asians would have stayed the same as they were 100 years ago, them motherfuckers wouldn't be running the world today. Everything has to evolve at some point. And like that's one of our downfalls. We get so sentimental about shit because we used to things being taken from us. But we got to learn how to evolve. You got to cry about the minutes and then look at what everybody else doing, and go with the times. Like I appreciate them people. My uncle was a freedom fighter. Like the red, black, and green was important. But right now, we can't be focused on that because we focused on reparations for American descendants of slaves. You understand me? So that means that the flag got to take precedence. Evolution is very necessary. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Let me just push back a little bit. Not even a lot.
Shepard. Wait. We got Aunt Lie. Let Aunt Lie go next, and then you can.
Can I just address this real quick before my phone dies?
Real quick. Wait, hold on, man, because you.
Aunt Lie, is that okay with you?
Wait. Aunt Lie, one thing, but you kind of like take it, and then you kind of go for a minute. So I'll give you 40 seconds to go ahead and address it.
Hey, thank you. So this is one thing you got to realize about the red, black, and green. The creator of the creator of Juneteenth flag, Baba Bill, he's a Pan-Africanist. the creation of AB 3121 in California, the reparations bill. Dr. Shirley Weber taught African studies and is a Pan-Africanist for the last 30 years. She's the Secretary of State, and that's her bill. The bill HR 40 is been messed up in Congress forever, and we know the story because Republicans will not vote for it. But that's a bill that was supported every decade by Pan-African organizations, even though some of those organizations are taking the bag like everybody else. It's still red, black, and green. It's still every single thing we're talking about reparations. Even if we go back to Queen Mother Moore, she created New Africa. Her colors are red, black, and green. Okay. So every part of reparations for the past 70 years has been supported by black and green. So we don't have to get rid of one to create a flag out of a holiday that represents us. Yes. No, we're going to allow the holiday that represents us to represent that specific struggle. It's not the FBA flag. It's just the Jewish flag.
I hear you.
Hold on, baby girl. I didn't interrupt.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Wait a minute now, Shep, because you actually took unlock space. And like we said, you was going to go ahead and you was going to make that 40 seconds. I gave you a minute or so. Don't unmute anybody. Mute them back. So we're going to go ahead, because I was trying to let Unlie go, and I was going to let you go ahead and speak on it too. So what I'm going to do is let Unlie go, and then we'll see if anybody else raise their hand, then we'll go ahead and give them a chance. But if not, then I'll go ahead and I'll let you speak back on it. So let's let Unlie speak, because we're going to be ending the space soon, probably in a little bit anyway. So let's let Unlie speak. Then I'll let you speak. Well, you just spoke, so I guess I'll let you speak, and I'll give you 2 minutes, and I do mean 2 minutes to speak. Then we'll let Koja go back up there and speak. Unlie, go ahead and unmute your mic. Unlie, you there? Unlie, you there? Yeah, she could have either fell down in the matrix or...
No, it said you got a host and I couldn't press the button. It says
No. Sometimes it just takes a while for the delay to kick back in after you take the mute off.
Oh, yeah, you know the FBI got my phone. No, it was getting good. I was about to get some popcorn to listen because it was getting good. What I was saying, I do want to agree with everything that Shepard has said, because I'm a little emotional right now because I'm going through a lot, so I'm a little on the ignorant side. But what I was saying, you said what I wanted to say, but I couldn't say it, so you said it for me as far as the Republicans and the Democrats, as far as leverage and everything. And that's in an idealistic world, that would be the perfect solution to the problem. But because of it, I'm so glad you touched on this at the end and then your phone died, the white supremacy in it, reasonable and rational, and like what the young lady just said, power to her, Coda Jean, she just said, we have to evolve with the times. Because I hate to say this out loud, don't nobody take my black card and try to beat me up. I was a Republican, but I was a Republican. I was never a Democrat, never. I wanted to vote with that party. Once I realized, and it let me know that, okay, these people are racist, and, like Michael Jordan said, I took that personally because I'm black. So you don't like my race, I can't be with your party. But because I do go, even though I'm for abortion as a woman's right to abortion, to put that out there. Women have a right to abortion, regardless of what everybody else said. That's my body, my choice. Ain't no man telling me what to do. But anyway, so we have to look at it from the point of, we can say, yeah, we got to use and leverage the Republicans, but if the white supremacist is in there, we can't level and use them because the white supremacist is there. So we have to act accordingly. I personally feel that we need our own party, and we should write it, like you say, go to vote. I write my name in. I know they're tired of me because for the last couple of elections, I just been writing my name in for every position because I feel like I could do it better than the people that's doing it. And my kids make fun of me because they go with me when I vote. I write my name in for everything. Sheriff, Congress, House, Mayor, all that. If I don't feel like the candidates that's there, I write my name in because at the end of the day, I'm always bet on me. I'm always bet on black, so I vote for me. But we need to come up with our own party because what black people fail to realize is we run everything in this country, everything in this world, what the black culture. And regardless of, like I said, the number of the population, everybody follow us anyway. They follow what we do. They infiltrate it. Somebody let them in. Some coon let them at the cookout, and then they destroy it from within, like they do everything the fuck else. And that's how literally they've been doing that since the beginning of time. So what we need to do is start doing stuff our own. Like even if you look at verses used to be the ish, but guess what happened? We let them in. Now it's a shit show. So what we got to do is start creating our own party and start doing for ourselves. And like I say, I think the church is a good idea. But start creating our own party, start doing for ourselves, because I do agree with you said. I thank you for saying that, because you literally, like that 90% that me and you was alike, you took that out of my brain and you said what I was thinking, because we psychic, and except that abortion at 10%. But that's how it's supposed to be in idealistic. My racist. That's how it's supposed to be. But because of the racism, it can't be that way. So what we have to do is we have to adapt at what we got. We can't look at the cards and be like, yo, but it's supposed to be this way, and we're supposed to be able to go to this. But no, we got to look at what the hell they're doing to us. And because we are not protected, they do whatever they want to do to us. So we have to act accordingly, and we have to protect and have each other's back. I've known DJ. I don't even know how long I've known DJ. I'm going to say it's been about 3 weeks. That man has had my back. Told her, I literally know these people for 2 or 3 weeks. They have had my back with getting out what happened to me, and they don't. If I see this man in the street, I wouldn't know it was him. So we have to really understand what happens to one of us happens to all of us, and we have to adapt to the changing times. And that is a lot of the problems that happen, because, like Janet Jackson told us, "What have you done for me lately?" And a lot of us think, well, it used to be good, it used to be this, and stuck on what it used to be. No, we need to start looking at what it was.
What do you mean because of the racism when you were talking about? I need you to explain that.
Explain what?
You were saying something with regards to the Republican Party, and then you said you can't because of the racism, but you vote for Democrat. I just need to understand.
I used to be a Republican. When I first learned about politics, I grew up in North New Jersey, and my mother would tell me like the mayor of North was, been there since I was 4 years old. And I'm looking around me, looking at the homelessness, and like, well, he been there since I was 4. I'm 20, and I'm 18. I can vote now. Why is, and then I'm looking at like all the inner cities, Chicago, Detroit. All these are black cities. These are Democratic cities, but they all shit shows. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to vote for these people, because these people are in a position of power, and now I can vote, but they hadn't done nothing since I was 4 years old. So I've always was like, okay, I'm going to be and then I also saw how, like, again, like a lot of ideas with them as far as what they teach the kids. And I was a little super Christian, I was like super Christian. Then all this other stuff, a lot of their ideals I align with more than I did the Democrats. The Democrats, to me, I didn't understand why you had a mayor in office for 20-something years, and you still got homeless people, and North was, like the stolen car. They literally did a movie, New Jersey Drive. Like, what the hell am I voting for you for now that I can vote? You should have been doing that when I was 4 years old, when I was 5 years old, when I was 10 years old. Like, I got beat for looking out the window because it was North New Jersey. Why is it 18 and now I still can't look out the damn window, but you've been in office all this time? I saw the Democrats abusing the Republicans as soon as I knew what politics was. So I looked at the Republican Party like, okay, maybe, and not that I align with some of those religious reasons. But then now I don't vote for, when I start seeing that they were racist and they don't like black people either, I don't vote for a party. I vote for a person based on what they are doing, not what they're saying. That's why I write my name in. Because ain't none of them doing, I do for me better than you could do for me. So I don't vote for none of them. I will put in my name and vote for myself. I hope, sometimes I might get 2 votes. I might make my husband vote for me, but that's how I do it. I land my things.
You buy a jersey.
We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get to our last 2 speakers of the night. And it's gonna be quick, Shepard and Koja. So we're gonna go ahead and let you 2 guys speak towards it, and y'all gonna end up closing it out for the night. So Shepard, go ahead and speak. Go ahead and do it in 2 minutes.
I think I agree with Code on a lot of what she was saying. I think our only disagreement is movements evolve. I think they do evolve. You're absolutely right. But the red, black, and green never went nowhere. It never stopped being a part of the process. It never stopped being boots on the ground. Just this past Juneteenth, in Natchez, Mississippi, where they killed over 30,000 black people in the Devil's Punch Bowl, a group of militias went out there to the neighborhood and had with their and their guns and everything. And I can post a video. So red, black, and green movements, black liberation movements, the same thing, are very active. So it's not it used to be type of thing. And if you look at any time there's any type of trauma towards black people, whether it was the hair salons or was somebody killing black people, white cop, all the black liberation groups who rock the red, black, and green are very active. So it's not an evolution of a new movement to the Twitter, FBA stuff. Like literally, soldiers is on the ground, ready to fight, ready to, buck it out with police, ready to do whatever to protect black people. So it's a little weird to hear somebody say, well, movements evolve. Soldiers never evolve. And red, black, and green has always been the soldiers of our race. And that's been since the black liberation movement of the 60s till today. I think you might confuse those old heads that's in these organizations who always do all this talking with people who never talk and and it's ready to really get busy. So no matter if it's Arabs disrespecting black people, who gonna show up? Brothers in black with red, black, and green on with guns, and it's always been like that. So also wrapping up, if you look at overwhelmingly across the United States, all of the thousands of Pan-African festivals, my family's festival is bringing out 700,000 people to Brooklyn. It's a red, black, and green festival. So we real active. Like we bring out more people than anywhere. And that's why Pan-African are involved so heavy in politics, because we move the masses of people through these African festivals and stuff that are created by African American legacy family. So, it's not a dead movement. I think FBA and other movements have to show something on the ground. ADOS had a chance with the Weather Channel situation to show that they could put bodies on the ground and move public policy. Marcel had an opportunity to show that Twitter is a real force, and he could get 20% of the vote or 40% of the vote because of the popularity. And until Twitter groups show that, they can't speak about replacing red, black, and green, especially with all the work that's been put.
Sorry about that, Shepard, but we're gonna go ahead and because we got to go ahead and wrap it up. So we're gonna let Koja go ahead and speak, and then we're gonna go ahead and close it out. But we appreciate you chiming in, though.
All right, so I appreciate everything that you're saying, Shepard. And like I said, we just chopping it up. We just thinking intellectually right here, right? And but at the same time, you say that movements don't evolve. I appreciate them people that put down their lives to make sure that they fix things. But you got to understand, even soldiers evolve their strategy. They evolve and alter their strategy in order to survive. Imagine always fighting physically and then being able to fight when you have money or when you have, actual, weaponry to help you out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a totally different ball game.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mute your mic. I'm finna unmute it. But DJ, go ahead and check your DM. I sent you a DM, so check your DM. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Koja.
Yeah, that's a totally different ball game. It's like taking your fight from, feet on the ground to being, airplanes in the sky, seeing what's going on. That's all I'm saying. Like, if we were able to get a panel together, say for instance, if it was Camila, Derrida, and whoever else, to say, okay, this is how we gonna honor these two flags. right now, I feel like we need resources. Yes, it's good to have boots on the ground, but you also need resources to take your fight to the next level. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying about evolution. You know, it's good to say, okay, this is what FBA means. This is what the Juneteenth flag means for today. We need resources to align with our fight. You know, this is what red, black, and green did when we did not have those resources. And to honor them all the time. That's what I mean. You know, it's no disrespect to the people because, you know, we paying homage to our ancestors, for goodness sakes. You know, when I traced my lineage back to 1775, I had to be like, damn, like my grandparents, they suffered, they struggled, you know, in fucking shacks because they didn't source. Now imagine them folks coming out of them damn shacks to go fight. Imagine if they had resources to say, okay, we got this, that, and the third. We can take our fight to be able to put it in publication, you know, send it worldwide, you know, rather than it just being boots on the ground. That's what I'm saying. That's no disrespect to the red, black, and green. You know, maybe we can get a pilot to talk about this and how they think it should evolve while also paying homage to those fights that existed before this one. But them resources are needed. That money is needed. Them reparations is needed. That's why I'm saying that Juneteenth flag honoring American descendants of slavery is pivotal as of right now.
Thank you, sister. We appreciate it. If you're not following Newstoter, make sure you go ahead and follow Newstoter. We are the ultimate curator of black news, the largest black news aggregator curation site in America, dedicated to the promotion of black news, culture, lifestyle, education, politics, and much more. Please make sure you're following us. For everybody that that is in the Twitter space that is not following us, go ahead and follow us. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, support us on Cash App, $Newstoter. That is $Newstoter. If you have $1 that you'd like to contribute to the new black media, then you can go ahead and contribute it to us, just $1, and that is $Newstoter. Go ahead, because I didn't know that. Well, hell yeah, I'll give you like 40, 50 seconds because we was getting ready to close this out. I didn't know that we had let another speaker come up here because we close it out. So I'll give you 40, 50 seconds if you want to speak, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let DJ, and then I'm gonna close the space out. So unmute your mic.
Not a problem, sweetheart. Okay, I wasn't going to say anything, but I heard the brother say something that really got me kind of confused. Soldiers have to evolve, otherwise they're dead. There's evolution in anything. The other thing was, okay, if you guys want to give homage to us here in America, we appreciate that. But where are your heroes or statues in your own land? Why would you come here to pay homage to one of our people? Which is fine. I'm not trying to be divisive or anything. I'm just listening to what you were saying. And then for the mandatory okay, the red, white, and blue, see, that was our shit. And unfortunately, everybody who came over here sucked on it, you know, and it, you know, just changed the colors and just, you know, just messed it all up. But that's actually foundational Black American. A young sister created that flag. So it's not that we don't want the red, green, and black. It's just not ours. If they had given us our own space, that would have been our flag, red, white, and blue. It just that everybody else came on and just took it and took it and took it. But that was our shit. So red, green, and black, that's yours. But you know, a lot of people, my family, I'm FBA on both sides. Both my family members fought in the war. So you know, I feel like I don't want to be attached to this motherfucker. I mean, this planet, this particular country. But damn it, it's my family's here. My ancestors are here. So I'm gonna ride and die for it. But you know, we appreciate you know the root. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, you made a comment by saying that we appreciate that you guys, and I don't mean you guys in a derogatory term. I really don't. But you guys, you know, you thank us for the people that came before you know your people that you're seeing, you know, Marcus Garvey or whatever. Well, where's yours? I never get to hear anything that says something that was originated for you guys. Like I said, I don't want to be disrespectful. For you guys, you have your own people. There's always something that is attached to ours. But hashtag reparation, hashtag I want my motherfucking money now. Thank you, sweetheart. I land the plane.
No problem. Thank you, sister, for chiming in. DJ, go ahead and I'll let you get your final say in before I go ahead and close the space out.
Yeah, for sure. You know, everybody agreeing to disagree in some sort of fashion. So I guess I'll leave it there. And I know you got to get off and do your thing, Tata. So if everybody could, let's see, where is this thing at? Okay, the first on the left in the jumbo trunk, though, Shepherd, you know, I'm from Jersey, bro. You know what I mean? We weren't really rocking those colors out here. And we was fighting every race, Black Americans, yo. We fought every race out here in Jersey, bro. And in up in New York. I know that for a fact. Yeah, the red, green, and black, that do mean like a kind of like a symbolistic thing for like all black people. I had a discussion with a white man. He was saying the same thing. But he knew what the real Juneteenth flag was. See what I'm saying? This is the argument of Black Americans, specifically over here in tri-state area. We are beyond indoctrinated. We don't real anymore. You know what I'm saying? Or what it is we're supposed to represent. Because everybody just be fucking with us and just stepping on our shit. We'll have something 1 minute and a motherfucker come step on the shit. You know, so we're all saying the same thing. Black Wall Street, Rosewood. You mentioned the Punch Bowl. We got to add this shit up. North riots, LA riots. We can keep going on and on. We got to delineate and separate. I know Martin Luther King's dream was for us to integrate, and I think we came a long way as human beings, but some people just don't care about us, dog. You know what I'm saying? We got to just be on our own. If this Buffalo shit didn't teach us anything, is your reparations? Well, shit, man. Yeah, I hear you, dog. I hear you. You know what I'm saying? I hear you. You know what I mean? So I'll just yield there. Time to get on your grind. So everybody love y'all. Peace. You know what I mean?
No doubt. And Shepard just wanted to let the room know that that he is a American. He is a Black American. So I think we pretty much already know that, Shepard. But in case anybody in the room,
Brooklyn in the house, nigga. Know what you want.
in case anybody didn't know that he's a Black American. He's a Black American. He's not a he may have Pan African ideologies or whatever, but he's actually a Black American. So I just want to let y'all all know that. He wanted to let everybody in the space know that he is actually a Black American. So
hey, once again, can I just say this one thing there? Because we know Shepard, we know you Black American, but you know we also got a bunch of Black Americans who are in office, like you said. They're all Pan Africans. So when I stepped to Ross Baraka to May Norton, told him, hey, reparations need to be lineage based. You've been following California, he rolled his eyes and shrugged his shoulders and walked off on me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, that it's the thug mentality, the hate you give, bro. You know what I'm saying? We tired of that because we get that shit from everybody, including our own. And this is back to the last week or two episodes we did ago talking about the Boulay Lake. You know, that nobody care about us except for us. But now stop there. Go ahead, though. Love y'all. Good night. Reparations, Black people first.
No problem. We'll be doing a Twitter space tomorrow around about 8:30 our regular times. So we'll send out the link to everybody during the day or maybe later on that day. So you guys make sure. I got a topic in mind. I just don't want to say it right now, but I think it'll be a very interesting topic. So once again, I want to support all of the people that came out and supported the Twitter space. And if our new people that's in there that's not following Newstoter, you may want to go ahead. Today, Newstoter posted over 20 articles of Black content on our Twitter page that will take you straight to our website. So we curate and we post some of the best news, Black related news in the country. I want to go ahead and follow us just so you can stay up to date and you don't miss a beat. During the week from Monday to Friday, we put out either 100 or over 100 articles. So we keep the content coming. So you guys definitely want to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us here on Twitter. Also support us, support the New Black Media if you can through the Cash App. If you have $1, like I said, just $1 that you don't mind donating, go ahead and that's $Newstoter. That is $Newstoter. We also have the PayPal link up also in the jumbo, the Venmo. So go ahead if you can. Go ahead and please make that donation to Newstoter. It will be greatly appreciated and it will be greatly used to further the Black news media outlets that we support as well. We support over 20 some odd Black-owned businesses, including Black bloggers, Black newspapers, Black sports, Black entertainment, you name it. So Black lifestyle, Black education. So we support a number of Black-owned businesses ourselves, and we support them and promote them for free. I will say that again. We support them and promote them for free. So please stay tuned.
I love y'all shit. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And we love having you here, sister. So make sure you come through. make sure you come through the space tomorrow because we're gonna have, like I said, I got something planned, a nice topic that everybody gonna be like, "Well, damn, like we already knew that, but we ain't know it to this point right here." And I don't even want to say what it is because I don't want nobody else hosting the space on this idea. So you guys make sure, like I say, the Twitter space start 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and it will be a nice conversation. It'll be a topic that's really gonna raise the conversation up quite a bit. So you guys go ahead and y'all have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow. God bless. Everybody be safe and be ready for a great discussion tomorrow. Everybody that was in the space, make sure you come through tomorrow.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.